Welcome in, everybody, to another edition of the Living Deadwax podcast. I am your host, Ty, and I am joined by my co-host, co-moderator of the cast, Tyler. Tyler, how are you tonight, man?
I'm doing fire, brother. It is lit over here. Tonight is gonna slap.
Yeah, it's a banger.
It's gonna be a banger tonight. It's a banger.
I really like. It's a banger episode, and I really like the aesthetic of it. It's a really good aesthetic.
Oh, I'm a big. It's great aesthetic. It's great aesthetic. So that's all that kind of matters for most of this. So great aesthetic, and everything else will come later. But great aesthetic. Yeah, 100%.
So tonight we are going to do top 10 favorite bands, artists. We were originally going to do the Killers ranking, but we just have trouble getting Brandon Flowers on the cast.
Yeah.
So we're still working out the scheduling. We're still working out the scheduling, but we will get him and we will do the Killers ranking. So I threw an audible and I was just like, fuck it. Let's do the big one. Top 10 favorite bands, artists. I love watching top 10 lists of people's opinions and try to make fun of them. So here we go. Now you can come at us.
You can make fun of us.
So yeah, I ordered mine 10-1. And Tyler kind of did that. So
yeah. So I think my five are good. I think my five, I might flip a given day, whatever. Right. But my last half, absolutely a crapshoot. So I'm kind of just throwing things out there. So my first five are going to be a little mixed up. And again, depending on the day, could be higher, could be a little lower. It's
gotcha.
Fine. So yeah.
I'm gonna throw in a little audible here. Because a lot of these artists and bands we've shown on the show. So if you followed along with the history of the podcast, you probably heard us ramble on about these artists. So I'm going to throw in a little caveat. I'm going to kind of ask you to kind of just tell a story about how you got into them.
Okay.
Like how you discovered the band, how you were introduced to them, because maybe some of that stuff we haven't gone over. We've probably gone over a record you're going to show off, but maybe you haven't talked about this is how I was introduced to this person.
The origin story, if you will.
Exactly. 100%, if you will. So the Dusty's coming out tonight. And Tyler, if you want to do the honor, we want to do honorables first.
Oh, do you want to do honorables? We can do honorables you want. So
let's do honorables first. Okay. Because it might be surprising.
Oh, okay. All right.
It might be you might surprise me oh, I thought that was going to be in your top 10.
Okay. All right. So some honorable. Let me sift through this a little bit. So,
see, I ordered all my stuff. I already have it ready to pull. Just ready to go.
Thanks, man.
I actually care. I actually give a little bit and care about the podcast.
I appreciate that so much. I really do.
It's just I just care the tiniest bit just to order my list, That way I can just pull it rapid fire. And that way I cut the time down to 2.5 hours.
Oh, is that what you did that?
And not 3 hours. That way I could save a half hour off.
No, I think people appreciate the fiddling with things. I think they do that.
I know I always do.
Yeah, exactly. So I have my 4 audibles here. Or audibles. 4 honorables here. So yeah, whatever, it's fine.
These are the ones I might put in. They're audibles.
Yeah, so I think you're gonna be a little surprised by a little bit here, but whatever. Cool. Okay, so let's run through them.
Yeah, just go through all the honorables. You can kind of talk about how you got into them, but yeah, just go through all of them.
All right, so Kevin Devine, singer-songwriter from Brooklyn, New York. I love Kevin, massive Kevin fan. More the first 5 or 6 records. The last few are still cool, but the first 5 especially are my Kevin records. And so this Brother's Blood is my favorite Kevin record. It's a very cool, a little rockin'. It's probably one of the more rocking records that he did at this point, and has a lot of heavy subject matter, and just very cool record, and very cool dude. If I want to do an origin story, he was on tour with Brand New, and that he opened for them on the tour in 2006, and kind of fell in love at that point, and was like, I like this guy a lot, and we just went back and got all downloads, and then later on saw him live a bunch of times, or seen him live, and he's still killer and still makes cool stuff. So Kevin Devine, Brother's Blood.
What did he sign? What is that?
It's
What does it say?
XOKD, and then he has exclamation point like the Spanish up down. Yeah,
I got you.
That's just what he does, I guess. I don't know. That's what he does. Everything I have signed by him is pretty much that.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So I got 4 of them here. So another one, Piebald, We Only the Friends That We Have. So I've talked about this record before. Piebald's my favorite bands of all time, but it's honestly just this record. This record is so heavy for me, and so like I love it so much. But it's just the other records are fine. It's cool. Like I enjoy them. They are what they are. This is the absolute top 10 favorite albums of all time. And if I really sat down with it, it's led my streams like 2 years, 2 out of the last like 5 years. Like
nice.
The songs of the record. And 1 year it was like every like 8 of the fucking 10 songs for all this record, which is I think I just put on repeat too many times. But yeah. So anyway, so love that. Piebald, I got into them. They were on an MTV commercial way back when with American Hearts, which is off this record. And they were showcasing they had a van because they're still a band now, but they just do a handful of dates here and there, and they're all dads and have adult jobs and stuff, whatever. So they'll tour for a couple weeks of the year and just do tours here and there. But anyway, they were on an MTV commercial when they were a real touring band all the time. And they had a bus that they converted to a biodiesel bus, and they were showcasing them filling up the biodiesel bus with the vegetable oil around the town they were in or whatever, and driving the bus with the biodiesel. So there's that. So Piebald, and I just that was a cool song, got into it, downloaded it. There we go.
Gotcha. One record.
Yeah, just honestly, they have 5, and I have them, but just the one record for me is the one that like.
Going on a little tangent here. That's fascinating to me because the way I ranked it was like I left out bands where if I like half the discography I didn't listen to a lot, I left them out.
That's not gonna lie to you, brother. That's probably a way better scientific way to do this for sure. I mean, you already did the rankings of the bands. I went through my top 100 songs over the last couple of years, and I was like, what am I missing here? Like, what band am I going to leave off of here? Okay. And so I just went through and I was like, I have way too much Piebald on here not to put Piebald as an honorable mention.
Not to put
even
it on
if it's just the record. Yeah.
Very cool.
There's that. Another one, The Format, Interventions and Lullabies. This is my favorite record. They did as well. They're a local Arizona band, but like I think we talked about prior in the last podcast, maybe they were 5 years too early. They would have been massive if they came 5 years later. Nate Roos from Fun, his first band with a guy named Stan Means. Love the 2 records they did. Love the live record they put out. Much of the EPs, so that's all great. It's all fantastic. But the debut for me, still my favorite, I think. And I got into them because I think I've told you the story before. I was at Desert Ridge when I was 13 years old. It was 2004. This record had just come out, right? 04.
Desert Ridge is a mall.
Desert Ridge is a mall, excuse me. Yeah, so this is a local mall here. It's an outdoor mall, which comes into play. I was on the grass in between like the Target and like the mall portion, and I was in the grass where the Ramadas are at, and it's like the walkway or whatever. And I was laying there with a female, and I was 12, 13, I guess, we're right. So I'm a little boy, and I don't know what to even say to a girl, but I was there with her, and I was trying to touch her breasts. And I was successful in doing so, which that was super cool. On the grass in like somewhat duskish time, like it's like 7:45, like in
people
August.
Going to Target and shit.
Yeah, they're walking past us, I'm sure, like whatever. But I was more just concentrating, like this woman has breasts, and I would like to touch them, and that's where I was at. And this girl, this also young girl with young man me. Anyway, so I fell back. And like I was like, it's almost like, oh, like I was so like exhilarated that I fell back after touching her breast a little bit that I did, and my arm hit a Tower Records bag, and I made the joke to her. I said, "Hey, would it be crazy if there was a CD in there?" Ha 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 ha. I grabbed the bag and I pull it towards me. There's a CD in there. It is this record, and
wow.
So I was like, "That's crazy!" And like a free CD is like. I could have been anything, but I'm 12. I don't have a lot of CDs. So I'm like, oh shit, boom, like just blowing my mind. And then I take it home, listen to it, put it in the computer, listen to that, and I love everything. And like with them being local, they have a few references in the record to local spots here in Phoenix, and just mind-blowing stuff. Later found out they wrote the record half a mile from my house, and this is where they grew up, which is crazy. And whatever. So that's also another part of it, I guess. But at the time, just I didn't know all of that, and so I just thought it was really cool. So that was a cool thing. And then I started following them a little bit, and then they broke up before I ever had a chance to see them. My sister saw them with All American Rejects. They were opening for them.
Ooh,
but
nice.
Sister saw them, so that's probably the one thing I'm jealous about her jealous of her in life, really, about is that. So good on you. So anyway, there's that, and then
so there was a tower.
I'm sorry.
There was a tower. You just want to keep fucking going off, and I'm asking questions here. There was a Tower Records at Desert Ridge.
Yeah. So if you in your brain right now can go Desert Ridge, I believe the children's place is what it is now, but that was Tower Records. So if you walk in the middle main-ish entrance to the immediate left, that big place right there, which it might be something else now. I have no idea. I haven't noted that in a minute, but that was Tower Records. And that was also where I bought another record that I have here. Bought that also at Tower Records, that same one.
Well, you didn't buy that CD. You found it. You stole it, technically.
Oh, that one. Yes, I found that one. There's another one in my top 10 that I'm showcasing that I did purchase.
He stole it.
Yeah. You stole it.
Of a lot of things, but I'm not a thief.
Yeah, exactly. You
cool.
got another question?
No,
the last one.
I don't even think I ever went to a Tower Records.
Okay. What did you have back east? Do you remember?
Well, we had Record and Tape Traders.
Yes,
so we would always go. That was like a local kind of Zia-ish. And then when I started going to stores out here, I just went to Zia all the time.
Yeah.
And then when we started hanging out more regularly, like we would just go to the Zias and the other local stores. Like Tower was closed by those. It was weird.
Tower closed, I think. We watched the documentary. Tower closed, I think, in 2005, 6. So that was before we were ever really rolling around town. And I only went there because we took the bus to Desert Ridge. That's the only reason that happened. Like we had Tower, we had Sam Goody, we had FYE, I guess, which me and you went to later on. I never went there before.
We still kind of have FYE. There's still one in Arizona Mills.
There you go. And then we had the other, like the movie, the Hollywood movie place, like whatever the hell that was in Metro Center way back when.
Hollywood Video?
Movies, but no, it was like Hollywood, like Pat NES Punk. He used to work at one of them, so it was a chain outlet. It was Metro, and then so we had a handful of that, and then we had obviously the Zias and whatever else. We also had Sam Myers, which they had an entire little CD store, which my dad took me to way too often, way too many times. Spent way too much money on fucking Monster Ballads 4. So like that man was a compilations guy. He was like, he bought every one of them.
You get the best bang for your buck.
That was his theory. That was his thought. He really had that thought. Yeah. And that's how I grew up. And I never did the same thing though. I never did that. But yeah, so we had all that stuff out here, but I honestly only went, I guess, all those stores at one point, but mostly it was just Zia over the years, obviously, me and you, and everything else kind of popped up. So yeah.
Yeah, it's just an interesting tangent. That's really cool because if you didn't have that experience, you
not at all,
never even known who that band was.
Never, literally, fucking never. I might have found them later on,
maybe after or whatever.
Yeah, way after, and that kind of bums me out because like I would have missed out on a lot of cool times and cool records and stuff like that. But they were cool. They were big within my friend group, and when I started hanging out with older kids, they were big with them. So I would have found them eventually. But I'm glad that I had the 3-year jump before I met those kids to be able to, whatever.
Gotcha. Very cool.
Listen to that. Yeah. So, okay. Last one. There's a reason why I wanted to get to it because I think it's going to be, if you were to put my list, I think you're going to put this band on the list. So it's probably the last one I got. It's the biggest shock that I have here. And
I saw it, man. So tight for distraction. Gotcha.
A little band called Guns N' Roses. I love Guns N' Roses. I love all the records. I love Chinese Democracy too. I love all the records. And there's some that I like more than others. Some songs I like more than others. But overall, I love all the gun stuff. It just unfortunately kind of fell out of the 10. Like I love Guns. I do. Like it's one of my near and dear bands, and you and I know, but that I look for gun shit every time we go anywhere. And if we find anything, I'll walk around with it. But at the very least, I'll walk around with it and, maybe put it back. But anytime I can find weird gun stuff, I always buy it if I can. I didn't think that now we found the Yesterday single, that Zia trip, that last one, and I did not buy that, so made a mistake, but whatever. But try to buy a bunch of weird guns, and I love guns so much. I still love all the records, like I said, and I guess Appetite is my favorite record. I guess I still like the Illusion records, obviously, but if we're gonna have to say a record, I guess it is by default Appetite. It's what everybody, they've been touring off this record for 40 years, so 35 years, whatever, right? But yeah, so here's cellophaned hype sticker with whatever. Not the original cover, unfortunately, but I wish one day maybe.
Funny about that trip, we looked at the original cover. They had a North American copy of it.
Forgot about that. Wow, you are blowing me. Yeah, how much was it?
Like 500, 500, I think.
Yeah, so we talked this. We only talked on the podcast before, but Ty told me this privately, or maybe we did talk on the podcast, that Zia, our local store, has started putting super expensive records in crates that you need to ask to see, locked up. And I don't like that because I don't like having to talk to somebody and have them watch me look at this stuff. But I will say this. I think Ty will agree with me here as well. We were pleasantly surprised with the stuff they had in there, because a lot of it does need to be locked up or just have a better system, be able to flip through it, kind of like we've talked about before.
Half price
has the flipper, which it's still all locked up. You can't really have access to it really, but you can flip through it. But they have stuff in there that was like $1,000. Just insane stuff, like stuff that we don't care about mostly. Like honestly, like it's not really our taste necessarily, but it's still insane to be able to see that.
The coolest thing for me I saw in there was the Collective Soul.
Yes.
Precious Declaration. They had an OG copy that's like 95. That was like $1,000.
Yeah.
And then the second coolest thing was that Guns for me anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, they had the Guns North American band cover, which is insane because that got pulled almost immediately from what the stories that I know about. It got pulled almost immediately. So that guy bought it street date or damn near close to be able to get that band cover.
Can't you buy like a Euro pressing or other countries? Because didn't it not get banned there?
I think it never got yanked in Europe. So I think the band cover is the cover over in Europe, which is a very weird experience because, like, I wonder, like, because our relationship to that record, to that band, a lot of it is based on that cover, because we've seen that cover every day of our lives for the last, 30 years we've been alive. So, like, it's just insane for us because that's just something you have in your brain, saved forever. And over in Europe, it's a very, very different image of, obviously people already know this, but whatever, I'll pull it out for you. But the cover over in Europe is here. This.
Yep.
Which is a woman being raped by a robot cyborg. Dude. Yeah. And not doing too great. So this is the cover over in Europe. So that's just an insane thing they walk around with. They have a completely different relationship with the record.
Bizarro world.
Bizarro world indeed, sir. So anyway,
I'm kind of surprised by that, but I'm not like 100% shocked. I'm not expecting I'm expecting like one or two legacy acts on your list.
Okay.
And most of the shit will be more modern-ish, I guess, depending on how you define the term legacy.
I mean, I don't think you're wrong here. I think if you wanted to do it, you could pull out. I have two, and I have the two that you assume. I actually have three. I lied to you. I have three.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I lied to you. I guess I lied. Hold on. I lied to you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't appreciate that, but all right.
Yeah. So I did have 5. So I guess because I just looked at my list and realized that I had already had the 10 added in there. So another one. Whatever. It's fine. Again, this just missed out on the top 10, but here we are. The Doors. Ellie Woman. Love the Doors.
That's actually shocking.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, that was one of the legacy acts.
It's the other two legacy acts that you think I like. I think I put in here. And again, I could have kicked out my 10th legacy act, my 10th pick, but whatever. It is what it is. But I love the Doors. They are one of the favorite bands of all time. Apparently, they just missed out on today's top 10. But here you go. Love it.
Sorry, Jim. Pour one out for you.
Jim and Ray both dead. and then Robbie and Densmore still alive. So
still
shout
kicking?
out them. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Good for them.
Yeah, exactly. They're 70 plus years old, still killing it, and Robbie Krieger still goes and plays at Woodstock 99 with Creed. So
hell yeah,
pretty cool, pretty sick. Still pretty active.
Speaking of Creed, I'm just joking.
All right, let's get into it.
That was a little music joke there for the insiders. You make fun of Creed. You don't admit that you like them. You like them in private, okay, and hidden away from people.
I actually almost actually asked you. I was going to text you yesterday, so I was watching a lot of wrestling tributes, and they are prominent with the WWF or E Desire videos from the early 2000s, and
yes,
it was My Sacrifice, and there was a handful and a half of them that got packaged. But there's a million wrestling tributes. Unfortunately, really, there's a million wrestling tributes, and I tried to find. I didn't remember who originally was Finger 11. I didn't remember who originally was So Far Away.
No, So Far Away is Mick Foley.
Okay,
that was like the retirement night they did. Finger 11 was
Eddie.
I want to say it was Benoit.
Okay.
Pre obviously them knowing, and then I want to say Eddie might have been that too.
Yeah,
or Eddie was like Clocks or something. It was like Coldplay or some shit.
Oh wow,
there's a Coldplay Eddie Guerrero tribute floating out there somewhere.
I'm getting it right now.
And I don't remember if it was like for his death or it was for like just a random tribute to him. But there's definitely a Coldplay Eddie Guerrero video floating around out there in the ether somewhere.
I think you're right.
But I'm guaranteeing you Finger 11 was definitely Benoit.
Okay.
So
yeah,
interesting.
There you go.
Tangent there. Also, shout out Jay Briscoe, man. Fucking terrible. Very sad. If you're into wrestling at all, for any of our thousands of listeners, Jay Briscoe of the Briscoe Brothers passed away. Seminal indie tag team, Ring of Honor.
Oh yeah,
bajillion time tag team champions. And everywhere. I was going to ask Tyler before we started. We saw the Briscoes right at PWG.
No,
because I have a picture of them at PWG that I got from the photographer.
Wow!
Remember the photographer guy that was selling pictures? Yes. I have an 8x10 of the Briscoes at PWG at the old hall, and I can't remember who they're wrestling. It's in the closet, but I can't remember if we were at that show and that's why I bought it, or I just bought it because it was the Briscoes.
I want to remember if I ever
saw them.
Yeah, because we never went to a tag team tournament. We went to Bola, and we went to
we went to like 4 or 5 shows.
Yeah,
so I'm sure there was tag matches on there.
Absolutely, it's possible, but I feel like
I want to say they're wrestling. I want to say they're doing a move to Generico.
Well, we wouldn't have seen that then. So because Generico wrestled, we did. We saw Generico's last PWG show because he wrestled I think twice after that. But Generico wrestled Adam Cole.
We saw Cole wrestle. We saw him wrestle Sami Callihan.
Drake too
in the Iron Man match. Yeah, we saw him wrestle Drake Younger.
Hold up.
I don't know. I have that 8x10 though of Jay and Mark. They're doing a move to I think Generico, and I couldn't remember if we went to that show, and that's why I bought the picture. I just bought the picture because the guy was selling pictures. Okay, it's not even signed by like Jay or Mark. I feel like if we would have seen them at the PWG show, we would have met them.
That's right. I was going to say that because there's really no way. I mean, they obviously are men of the people, fortunately. So I feel like if they were there at any point in time, we would have made it a point. Granted, a lot of people would have, so it would have been crowded. But we absolutely would have made it a point to go get a picture with them because we got a picture of everybody else. So there's no way in hell that we would not have done that. And you also would have walked away with a Dem Boys shirt.
Oh, for fucking sure.
Or a number of the other old shirts.
Yeah. I'm a huge Briscoes, Mark.
Yeah. So
one of the best tag teams of the modern day. So shout out to Jay.
It's also there. I mean, them and they always get jocked along with obviously FTR the Revival by Corny and by a lot of the other older like podcast, former wrestling guys. But they always get jocked as being the best tag team. Like they're still the most genuine, the most believable, everything tag team, and they can do anything. And they always get jocked to this day for being the best modern tag team.
I mean, FDR came decades later, but yeah,
decades later. They had a bunch of cool matches too. I watched. I think because they wrestled at ROH. I want to say maybe. When ROH was still a thing, so that's a year and a half ago or so. They wrestled then.
I think it was It was the Mania show.
Yeah, there you go.
One of the Mania shows they did.
Yeah. So to answer your question, I don't think we saw them. The last Generico match was Bucks versus Steen Jericho. So that was what it was, and they beat Steen Jericho. Or Steen Jericho. So there you go. Unfortunately. But yeah, so absolutely crazy, terrible. He's 38 years old and he has a bunch of children, unfortunately, that are no longer going to have a father.
Well, and 2 of his girls were in the wreck too. So that's absolutely terrible. I know they're not doing, from what I've read, they're not doing great. So that's just fucking sad. It's a waste of life. Tragic. Just a badass tag team. Shout out to them. Wrestling Tangent. But we were talking about wrestling tribute, so unfortunately, another one gone way too fucking soon. So
another tribute coming at you.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I would be very curious to see if, whatever. I don't know anything about anything, but I'm very curious to see if on SmackDown, if they do a not a tribute, but kind of mention it at the beginning of the show. I'd be very curious to see if that happens because they are a big enough deal. They never even had a cup of coffee. I think they had a tryout at NXT a long time ago.
They mentioned it on NXT, so I don't know.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, so they did that. That's cool.
I don't know. Yeah, because that was they mentioned it on NXT.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's what I saw. So maybe, possibly. Alrighty, let's get back to the fun stuff. Let's get back to music. I'm gonna do my honorables, and there's gonna be probably some surprising ones to Tyler. I've got 6, so
okay.
I'll run through them now. I'm just going to go through. This isn't in any particular order. I'm going to go through some of these just didn't make the cut. I had to weigh like a legacy and how much I'm still listening to the band and how much of the discography I love. This particular band, I pretty much love the entire discography, but I just haven't listened to them as much.
Okay.
In recent years. So I'm going to go with, and I picked my favorite record from most of these bands I'm going to show. I'm going to go with Behemoth.
Wow.
This is The Satanist. This is probably my favorite Behemoth record if I had to choose one. Love this record. Yeah, it just barely missed. I had to weigh Legacy with what I've been listening to the last few years, like really heavily. Yeah. So if I really dive back in, they might make it. And the last record I didn't really enjoy that much, so that's probably why.
Some recency bias, I suppose, maybe.
Yes, yeah. Behemoth, blackened death metal band from Poland. Well, honestly, they're one of the fucking biggest metal bands on the planet right now. That's playing, definitely playing extreme metal. It's very impressive to see what they've done, especially here in the States, where that shit's still, it's not the most popular music, and they play bigger halls, which is pretty goddamn impressive. So shout out to them for still.
How did you get into Behemoth, my friend?
Shit, man. That's probably second Ozfest I ever went to. That was Free Fest, I think. And they were on there, and I remember just going through all the bands, as you do. And oh, what's this band? Checking them out. And then I remember Josh and I would go to Zia, and we'd be like, oh, this band is on there. Here's an album. Just buy it. And that's how I got into them. And just awesome. That was like 07, I think. And then I've probably seen them 6 or 7 times since then. Yeah. So, yeah, I remember
seeing them every time they came.
I actually didn't see them on the Satanist tour, which is one of my biggest tour regrets, because they played the full album. And I don't remember why I didn't go. It might have just been the night and money was tight. But I didn't go. They played the full album, and that was the tour after his Nergal's leukemia recovery.
Oh,
was the first tour.
Yes. Yep.
That was the first album back, and they played that whole album in its entirety. And that's one of my biggest tour regrets for sure. Something that I actually had the ability to go see and chose not to. So yeah, but yeah, and I've been into them ever since. I saw them with Gojira actually at Marquee. And it's funny because Gojira is probably one of the other biggest extreme metal bands in the world, still going. And I saw them at Marquee, and there was like fucking, I don't know, 500 people there, maybe not even that. So that was crazy.
Absolutely
that was
insane.
probably that was maybe like 08, 09. So
Yeah.
yeah, they're still killing it. They're like 30 years deep now. So
then we saw him again, or is that with Enslaved and Gojira? Enslaved Gojira.
um
When we saw
yeah, I
Marquee.
can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember which show because I don't think you've seen Behemoth with me.
I don't think I
So,
have. Thinking
yeah.
about this now, yes. I'm thinking about
Yeah.
Amon Amarth, and I'm thinking about a few others, but yeah, we haven't seen Behemoth.
Yeah.
All right, I have not with you. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Which they put on a cool show. So something maybe we got to do one time when they come back. All right, so let's go on here. We're gonna change tones here. This one might be Tyler's might be surprised.
Okay.
We go with the Cars.
Wow.
This is Heartbeat City, probably my favorite Cars record. I listened to it today and still absolutely holds up.
There you go.
I adore the Cars. I got into the Cars through my parents. My dad and mom were always playing them. I absolutely love the Cars because it crosses over to that punk new wave kind of thing. They kind of are a good crossover band where they can bring everybody in, and kind of like everybody enjoys them, in those particular scenes. And absolutely love this record. It's another Mutt Lange joint. Very, very, just absolutely a great production. Obviously, has Drive, has their biggest song on there. Just many big singles off this album. I do love pretty much the whole discography. I even love their last record quite a bit. But there was just bands like this is like, all right now, Cars, you're not in it, but you're in the honor roll. So congrats.
See, I think it's also like, yeah, you're right. Like what you listen to more recently, like what's like maybe something like more recently you've gotten into that you always love, but you listen to a lot more now, and it's just like inching above it right now. Like I think in a year it could change and be you could flip a few things, but yeah,
exactly, 100%. There is some recency bias in that because they're not a band I go back to a ton anymore because I've just heard this song so much. So, but had to shout them out. Another one that might surprise Tyler, Mastodon.
Okay, so I would assume Mastodon's in the honorables. I'm not shocked they're not in the 10, but the other two, yes. This is the first one I'm not shocked by because I think in my brain, Ty Brown, Mastodon is one little bit below.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I got into Mastodon probably around the same time I got into Behemoth. And they were a big band pretty much since the fucking start. Like you always heard about Mastodon, even since like Remission, the first record. I mean, March of the Fire Ants was on there, and that's still a song they play every show I've been to. I've seen Mastodon probably 7 or 8 times. They might be the band I've probably seen the most. I'd have to go back through the history. But I've seen them quite a bit. Actually, just bought. Got to tell Tyler this. I ended up buying the Mastodon and Gojira tickets.
Oh, so, sick. Okay.
Gonna see them in the pit, and the one ticket's yours if you want to go. So, anyway, so going to be checking them out again. This is their newest record, Hushed and Grim. Not my favorite record, but I pulled it because I haven't shown it on the channel. Do absolutely really adore this record. It's very different. It's not as fun as their previous outings have been. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit more serious offering, but they still are excellent musicians. One of the best prog metal bands going today, in my opinion. Absolutely crazy, just crazy fucking good. The fact that they all sing, they all do their thing, it's really impressive. And I got into Mastodon simply because of that. Like they were one of those bands that I always heard about. And then I think the first time I saw them might have been on one of the Mayhem Fests, like 08, 09. So yeah, Mastodon.
What's your favorite Mastodon record?
It's probably a toss-up. Probably Crack the Sky, honestly. Or Once More Around the Sun is really fucking fun too. Really cool. Probably Crack the Sky.
Okay. Didn't you like The Hunter a lot too?
The Hunter's fun, yeah. I literally that's why it was so hard to leave them off because I literally like every Mastodon record.
Yeah.
I like all the early stuff. I like when they changed. I like all the recent stuff. There isn't a record on there that I won't go back and listen to all the way through. So that was like the tough thing. But Yeah, they could easily make it in the top 10 if I redid this like a week from now. So
yeah,
I
I remember
would go with Crack the Sky.
Matt. There you go, love it. I remember. I don't know. You can probably tell me this. I don't know if you ever saw it, but I remember. What is it called? Oh my god, Fuse, Uranium.
Yeah.
I remember Julia interviewed them on Uranium, and I remember I
Uh-huh.
watched that. And that's what do you think? Probably 2006, let's say 2005,
Yeah,
maybe.
maybe.
Or was that? So I remember that was like because the main thing that she and like a lot of people at that time, I imagine, but she emphasized and still too is their musicianship and the fact they all sing and they all are completely capable at everything they do, like and plus, so like they're a very big like musical band, musicians band, and they all can do anything. So I remember that was like really emphasized at the time in that interview because the fact they have five guys,
Four
guys, and they all do vocals and they all can do vocals. It just that was just insane. When I heard that, I was blown away because I was like, Jesus Christ! Like that's like I remember Under Oath, the Aaron Gillespie, their drummer, would sing too sometimes, and I was like, whoa, this is insane! Yeah. Whoa! And then I find out there's a band with 4 dudes that sing. Like, boom, just insane.
Yeah, they all do different things too. It's all different styles, and honestly, probably the best singer in the band is Braun, the drummer.
Oh wow!
So,
okay,
you know
that's crazy. That's weird how that works, man. Yeah. That's a
and he's got the biggest songs because he's got the more pop like friendly.
Oh really?
Voice. So
there you go.
Yeah, that's so crazy. Probably like every song that he sings.
I imagine.
Him,
yeah,
so.
Yeah,
but
fucking
crazy. Yeah, shout out to Mastodon. I still absolutely love him, and he'd probably crack the list if I did this like tomorrow. But
all right. They're gonna be upset if they see us. Sorry about that, guy, boys.
Another one. Tyler might be surprised about Roy.
Okay.
I got into Roy through my parents. I've always loved Roy. I've always loved his voice. And then once I more got into him, this is the recent greatest hits. This greatest hits is just fucking awesome, by the way. Covers basically the entire history of Roy. So a lot of greatest hits you find out there are specific eras, and this goes through everything. That's so crazy. they got the rights to everything, and shout out. This is a really good. Like it even has Handle with Care and Not Alone Anymore, the Wilbury songs.
Oh wow,
so, like,
okay.
You're literally getting everything. So if you want to dabble into Roy, like this is what you get. This is the best compilation that they have out there now.
Is that Sony?
It's Roy's Boys, Legacy, and Monument Records. So they're all on here.
That's crazy.
So I don't know. Yeah.
I think Legacy is Sony.
Yes, it is. Distributed by Sony Music Entertainment.
There you go. Yeah.
So they did it right on this. I think there's a second one too. So check it. I don't own that one, but check that out. Check out that one too. Cool. I got into Roy through my parents. I always grew up listening to Roy. Mr. Girl's probably when we do top 10 records, that Mr. Girl might be in top 10 of all time. Roy's just one of those things that's a constant, but like I don't go back and listen to full records a lot because he's got a lot of shit. Like those MGM years are shit. They're not good. Yeah. Like you either want to listen to the Monument years or like his comeback. And there's only one comeback record.
Yeah.
Truly. King of Hearts came out and he was already passed by the time that came out, and it was kind of B-sides and leftovers. So so that's why he just can't crack the top 10, because I'm not going to go back and listen to the discography all the time. I will go back and listen to these songs all the fucking time though. So.
It's just very daunting. It's just one of those things. There's so much. There are so many songs that are here and there and just, nowhere else. And it's very intimidating for sure.
Yes.
40
had to get some, yeah, well, exactly. Had to get some Norwegian stuff on here. So one of my favorite, they are my favorite Norwegian black metal band, Immortal. Because when I look through it, this is my favorite Immortal record, Sons of Northern Darkness.
It's awesome.
I really love every Immortal record. Even the early Raw stuff. Like it all has a certain charm to it. I love the newest record. I'm excited for the new record to come out too, that they're coming out this year. Even though it's like not even the band anymore. It's just Demonized. Yeah. But I still absolutely love these records. One of the coolest bands from that scene, one of the funnest bands from that scene, which you can't really say a lot. There's not a lot of fun bands. So props to them. They just release banger after banger. They're all a little samey. Like they all take from that AC/DC formula, but like they knew what they did well and kept doing it. So
yeah.
So props to them for that. So, and I got into Mortal when I just started discovering more black metal. They're honestly one of those foundational bands. And I just never grew out of them. I never found a reason to. So
yeah, they had that fucking what's the badass song I like a lot?
Tyrants. That's on that record.
Yeah, Tyrants is the shit. Tyrants is the shit.
Yeah,
Again, back to wrestling. I texted Ty 2 weeks ago, whatever, listening to that song because I just wanted to. I was like, well, let's listen to Immortal. That's the #1 song on Spotify. So I was like, listen to that. Yeah. It just sounds fucking awesome. And there should be a million wrestling tributes to that song. Specifically Doomsday Devices, just going crazy.
Yeah, Road Warriors. Yeah,
just Road Warrior stuff for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a Road Warriors entrance theme.
Absolutely. That's what I was just seeing Road Warriors, man. I was seeing Road Warriors, or like, I guess if like the Steiner brothers like were a little gnarlier, could have been a Steiner brothers one too. But
very true. Very true. Good choice. All right, I'm gonna go to another Norwegian band from the same scene, Enslaved. This is Eld. Obviously adore Enslaved. The only reason they didn't crack the top 10 is because it's a fucking daunting thing. And there is certain eras of Enslaved that I know way better than other eras. This is one of their early records that I absolutely adore. Got Girdle Gruttle on here looking all like he does, and then got the guys on the back looking all sick. Enslaved, seminal Norwegian black metal band, very black metal in the outset, but still had progressive elements, and now they're just basically a prog rock band. they basically went to that Opeth 5, and they do very much 70s prog inspired shit, and I absolutely love it. I love they have a record coming out next month or March, I think. I'm actually stoked for it. Gonna buy it day one. We'll absolutely listen to it. I listen to everything that comes out by the band, but it's fucking daunting, and I've done it before. I listened to all Enslaved, but it's like there's so much going on in every record. It's hard to like really take it all in.
Yeah,
let's just put it that way. So that's why they didn't make the top 10. And again, just like Immortal, when you're getting into black metal, Enslaved is one of those bands that's always going to be mentioned. So
yeah, I think that's probably like that's day one stuff. Like if you posted on a forum somewhere, like where to go with black metal, I think probably people like if you don't like this, you're not going to like it. So just here's the entry bare basic bare bone stuff, and if you don't like this, you're just not going to like black metal.
100%.
Yeah.
Alrighty, that's it. That is all my honorables. There you go. Let's get into the top 10. So you kick us off, Tyler.
All right. So again, I felt real weird about doing this, and I don't like it because I don't know how to do it, and I'm not good at this. So
it's easy. You just go from 10 to 1.
Okay. Thanks, brother. Appreciate that. All right. Let's see. Do you got an idea? Do you have a guess?
It's white. I have no fucking idea. Beatles? Metallica? Whoa! Top 10.
Top 10er. I listen to a lot of Metallica, I realized. I listen to a lot of Metallica. And grant you, there are certain things we've already done the rankings, whatever the fuck, that I'm out on. But I go so heavy through Black Album. But I go so heavy with these because like these are gym records. Like I listen to Justice quite often. Like I put these on and I get stoked. Like I don't know. Like I have a different relationship with a lot of Metallica records. And as we talked about on the rankings episode, which I'm sure all of you have watched, the Metallica rankings, like obviously there's a different vibe for the 90s and what have you, the mid 90s and early 2000s. But the new records, Death Magnetic and Hardwired, are still right there with me. They're not obviously cracking bees, but they're still there. I still like the records a lot, and I really enjoyed listening to them over the years. And with Hardwired being the last record that came out, and now we're gonna have 72 seasons coming out here pretty quick. We're gonna see them, no big deal. Yep. But love Metallica, so I think Metallica sneaking in at 10. Think that's okay for me. I really could have flipped them. The Doors, I could have flipped it. Like I could have done, or like maybe Guns. I could have flipped it, but I listen to a lot of Metallica. So again, looking at my top 100 songs lists and just seeing so much littered in there, I'm like, I can't not do it. So gotcha. Metallica top 10, love Metallica, and Justice is my favorite Metallica record. And if you watched our rankings, which you did, of course you did, you know that already. So there you go.
And if you haven't, what are you waiting for? Check it out. Check it out right after this video.
Yeah, exactly.
Metallica didn't make it for me. Okay. Honestly, I love Metallica, like you. But I think I've just heard everything so much. It's just like weird. Like I don't want to call them one of my favorite bands of all time.
I also think
I don't know why.
that we've talked this before. I also think that they're your third or fourth favorite of the big four if you really sat down and thought about it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I had Megadeth and Slayer as honorables too, but I didn't want to just do honorables tonight. So, wow. I didn't even have Metallica in the list.
Okay.
So, they're definitely my third. I do Megadeth, Slayer, and then Metallica, or Slayer, Megadeth, depending on the day.
Yeah. I think Anthrax might be the fourth one, right? But Anthrax still super fun, super awesome.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But you're telling me right now already that Megadeth and Slayer are not in your 10?
They are not, no.
Bruh. I don't know what you're gonna do right now. I'm really
you're not gonna be that surprised.
I'm gonna get a couple curveballs, I feel like.
Maybe. But you're not gonna be that surprised. Let me do my 10.
Okay.
You had Metallica, good choice. I'm actually surprised you had it in there.
Yeah.
So that was one of your legacy acts, I guess.
Legacy, yeah. So I have two.
And
more.
then I know the you have two more. Okay, I know one. I'm trying to think of the other one. So, all right. Let me get to my 10. So I'm gonna go with this is a person that I had to put on there, and because I actually loved all of his shit, and I wasn't gonna put him on there. It's gonna be an honorable, but I bumped Behemoth off for this man, and that's Devin Townsend.
Wow. Okay. So I did assume that.
And honestly, he didn't make the top 10 or the honorables at first when I was doing my list. And I'm like, dude, I literally love every era of Devin. And there's a shit ton of eras. Yeah. There's Devin Townsend Band. There's Devin Townsend Project. There's this project he's working on right now, which is just Devin Townsend. There's Strapping Young Lad. There's just so many different eras, so many albums. And I absolutely have loved everything that I listened to. I pulled this. This is Galactic Quarantine. This is the live record he released, I think, last year. He did a live show during all the COVID stuff. And I picked this just because it's got strapping songs. It's got Devin Townsend Project songs. It's got solo band songs. It's just a good representation of all of his stuff. So absolutely was stoked to pull this out and give Devin his kudos because I absolutely love his stuff. And honestly, his newest record was probably my number 2 favorite record of last year, right behind Queensryche. So easily my 2 most listened to records that came out last year. So Devin Townsend, seminal prog metal musician, just prog rock, just an amazing talent. And he's one of the most fun live shows I've ever been to. I've seen him 3 times now, and I will definitely buy tickets day one when he comes back. So
whenever we do tour stories or show stories, I'll tell that night that story that night.
There you go. Yeah, it's a good one.
But that's awesome. I did assume you're gonna have Devin in there. I didn't know how high it was gonna be because I know you're on a big Devin kick, especially recently. So I just didn't know how high you were gonna go. I am not surprised that it's a little lower. I guess because I think you have a lot more connection and history with the other ones that are going to be higher.
Yeah, I've got more legacy acts, like I guess they have legacy acts, but like just bands like I've always listened to. And Devin's like, honestly, I got into Devin through Free Fest too, because Strapping Young Lad played Free Fest, or not Free Fest. That was 06 Ozfest they played. And that's basically the last Strapping tour. And he didn't even want to do it. So like I saw Devin at his like most miserable, and he didn't want to do that record. He only did
9 a.m. You said, right?
Yeah, and they played at 9 o'clock. That's the first time I experienced anything with Devin Townsend, and it was just miserable. And you could tell he didn't want to be there. And it's funny because they didn't want to do the record that they were touring on. He just did it to get out of the tour, get out of the contract. And then they basically broke up the band like immediately. He broke up the band immediately after. But I fell in love ever since. It's like,
there you go.
I loved Strapping Lad, and there you go.
Yeah, I love it. It's amazing.
So, yep.
Oh man. All right, so number 9 here. Again, these are a little squirrely for me, so I'll put. Yeah. All right.
Doing it live.
Yeah, I guess so. All right, so another legacy band. I realized that I left another legacy band off of my honorables as well. I fucked this up on my notes app, so I left them out. But like, it's fine. It might be one of the ones that you're saying, why isn't this higher, or why wasn't it present on your list? So whatever, so we'll go. A little band called Van Halen. I love
So this
Van
band
Halen.
wasn't on your list, or you?
It was. I'll mention the band when we
okay.
get done with this. I'll mention the band because I don't want to ruin it, because
Okay.
I think that the band that I left off is the band that you think is on here.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Van Halen. Yeah, I love Van Halen. Again, I looked at my top hundreds, and again, maybe a little recently biased, but I listened to a lot of Van Halen. And grant you, I am out on a couple records, totally true, but I'm so in on those first, what, 5, 6 records? The 3 with Sammy, and then the 4 with Dave, 5 with Dave. Like, I'm in on so heavy on those records that I can't deny it. They're on
2, 1, 2. Women and Children First.
Fair Warning.
Fair Warning. Diver Down. 1984. 5150. And then OU 2. That where you stop.
Fuck. Balance. Yeah, I think Balance is kind of where
I get everything.
Yeah, like basically, and then I wasn't on, obviously, for a different kind of truth. I forgot about that. I forgot the name of the record.
Nah.
I know that you've said it before, and I've been meaning to dive back, and I've listened to it once at least, definitely when it came out. But I know that certain folk think that it's a great record. It's just the single choices were just off. So
we'll do the ranking someday.
Yeah, we'll go there. But yeah, so Van Halen, so love Van Halen. Van Halen 1, I think, might be my favorite Van Halen record. It's hard to say. But I do love 5150 as well. So the first 2 of the guys. And I don't know, man. It's just always been there. It's always been in my life, and for both of us, obviously. And if you're especially a middle class or lower middle class white man or white person in general, you are celebrating Van Halen. There's a handful of bands that we just have in our lives. Van Halen is one of them. Okay, we just have every person has Van Halen, so we have Van Halen. So I love it. I love damn near every record, and it's just always been there. And still to this day, like I said, top 100 songs, so many Van Halen songs were littered throughout it, so I couldn't really leave it off. So there you go. That's my number 9, I suppose. So this is a sealed copy of Van Halen. No big deal.
Yeah. Is that a Tower Records sticker on there too?
I believe it is. I believe that is, sir. Good call. Good looking out there. Tower Records. There's no date code on here, though, from what I can see. It was $8 at one point.
Nice.
But no barcode. So that means that it is in the area of the original pressings of the record. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, Van Halen didn't crack it for me. But again, I listened to a lot of Van Halen too. So just Van Halen 2, just the record Van Halen 2. But I could honestly put them in there. Re-ranking this, probably not, because there's nobody I want to kick off just looking at the list right now. But they're definitely an honorable.
Yeah,
definitely an honorable for me too.
I also just think about how much stuff every time we go to the record store, I look at Van Halen shit every time. And it's a point that I make to go look at the section and look for it. No, I find weird stuff, I buy it. So kind of just realize how what my importance is, or like my value is for those records. So that kind of swayed me a little bit too.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
All right, my number 9.
I'm gonna go with one of the best and greatest German power metal bands, Halloween. Honestly, this is. The last 5 years, I've known about Halloween ever since I started listening to metal. They're one of those bands you just know of, even if you're not into power metal. But honestly, the last 5 years, I've just listened to more and more. I pretty much enjoy the entire discography. I enjoy all eras of the band. I think this current era of the band is one of the coolest things going today in music. And I'm actually so stoked to see them in June in Vegas. And this is Keeper of the Seven Keys Part 1. This is their most famous record. Probably my favorite record, too, if I had to think about it. absolutely just adore this fucking band. I absolutely love everything about it. It's just fun, good fucking metal, man. And that's it, man. And again, I knew about Halloween when I was getting into metal. Like they're one of those bands you hear about, and they're not on that Maiden level, but they're definitely the B tier. Like if Maiden, Sabbath, like Priest of the A tier, Halloween's definitely a B tier band.
Yeah.
And
in the conversation with the others, you know, they're around.
Yeah. But definitely like the last 5 years, like I just will constantly listen to Halloween, and I do not get tired of it just because it's fun music, and I really enjoy all eras too. So
that's awesome.
Halloween, my number 9.
Love it. I did not have Halloween on your list, but knowing what I know about you, and yeah, I can see, I get it. I if I had to really think about it, that Halloween would be on there. All right,
gotcha.
So again, for my whatever this is worth ranking,
it's worth
number
a lot,
8.
okay?
Yeah, again, we're working live here. Number 8, little band called AFI, A Fire Inside.
Ooh.
I love every record AFI ever did.
That's
every
lower
era.
than I thought.
Oh wow, okay, cool. So I love every record, every era. This is probably the first band, I guess, now that we're talking about it, that qualifies for this. I love the new shit. I love every time they bounce back and forth. It's like a weird electro, gothy, you know, whatever vibe they want to go for on the new EPs or new records. Like I'm into it. I'm every time. The early punk stuff, just straight like punk from the Bay Area. Like I love that shit. Very Proud of You. Their first record, that was probably so hold up. No, Very Proud of You, I think, is the second record. Hold up. So I was really into around this time when Sing Their Sorrow came out. That's the first time everybody really actually saw them, honestly. Like that's the record that broke them. Answer that. First record, Very Proud of You, second record. So anyway, Very Proud of You was my favorite record for a long time. This is the first record that everybody got into because it's the first one that got actual like crazy airplay. Days of the Phoenix. So that was on our drain. It's the record before that. Days of the Phoenix got a little bit of airplay, but mostly it's this one. Anyway, whatever. Anyway, so I love A5, love every record, every era. They punk to like post-hardcore to hardcore to like I said, gothy shit, like electro, all that stuff. They do a bunch of stuff, and just never get tired of AFI. Never get tired of this record, especially. It's the biggest one, but it's still they get played to death, but I'm into it every time. So AFI on Red out of 10,000 is $1 trillion at this point, unfortunately. Original pressing, not a bootleg, you know, whatever, in very minty condition, which I'm super proud of. Probably one of my most proud and like possessions, like not I guess
Nice.
prized a little bit, but like I'm proud that I actually made the choice to spend $100 on this fucking 5 or 6, 7, 8 years ago.
Well, you look smart now.
A genius, absolute genius. So glad I did that. But yeah, so AFI, Fire Inside. They're the first band that qualifies, like I said, every era, every record, into it, into all the members, the musicianship, the lyrics, just awesome. Love it. So there you go. AFI number 8.
What's the record that was on Fuse a shit ton? Like the videos on Fuse, and they're like walking in a city. It's like Davey in a city.
Yeah, so that's that record. So
that record?
Yeah, that's that record. So that is going to be Silver and Cold is what the song you're thinking about.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very dreary in that's that one. So that's the record. Yeah, they that record is the biggest one, and then December Underground might be. I actually might have still more. Yeah, that's Love Like Winter. What else is on the record? Miss Murder is on the record. Like, yeah, that's a whole era.
I mean, I'm not a fan, whatever. I don't dislike them. I just never got into them. But I really appreciate the fact that I only knew them for that. Like, I only knew them for those songs on Fuse. And then when we started hanging out, and I'm like, oh, there's a whole other history of this band. I really appreciated that because a lot of bands don't have that, especially newer era bands. Like, they don't have that progression. Like, we were this, and now we're this. Like, and now we're this. Like, I
always say, as a maybe it's I think it's an apt comparison. Not that I know everything about everything. I always say they're like the Rush of like the punk, alt rock, hardcore, whatever the fuck. They twist and turn. They have different eras that people are super into, and they hate this and they love this, and vice versa, and everything else, right? I think that's very much so the attitude a lot of fans have, because a lot of the new stuff, honestly, probably Sing the Sorrow of that record, starting with that record, that dropped off the guys that were on the first 4 records. That was their tip, and then Sing the Sorrow got your sister into it, and she kind of carried on for the next one. And then at a certain point, they went back to the kind of a little bit of the heavy side, and then she was no longer into that, and just kind of drop off, and people celebrate different eras. But yeah.
So how did you discover him?
Just Fuse. So I saw Silver and Gold on Fuse, and I saw Leading Song Part 2 on Fuse, and I saw Girls Not Grey on Fuse, all from that record. That record got massive push from DreamWorks, and so I saw all those videos, and I just got super into it. And then later on, I started downloading all the stuff on LimeWire, and then I eventually started hanging out with my buddy Jake, and one of his favorite bands of all time is AFI, and so I got a healthy dose of AFI through him, and that hooked me even more, and then kind of just went from there.
Gotcha. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. 8. All right. So let me go to my number 8. Might be shocking, might be a little low for Tyler, but let's see. So I'm gonna go with Black Sabbath.
Okay.
And
wow.
I pulled my all-time favorite Black Sabbath record, Heaven and Hell. And I'm going to provide a reasoning why they are lower in the list, because I don't go back and listen to the Ozzy records a lot. I love them. Wow. I appreciate them for what they are. But like, this is the era I gravitate to. I listened to Ronnie's, the first 2 records. I listened to Dehumanizer a lot, and I listened to the shit ton of the Tony Martin era. So eventually we will get the Tony Martin represses. Apparently it's going to happen this year, even though Tony's been saying that for like 8 years. And it sucks too, because Tony Martin posts on his Facebook all the time. I see it pop up in the forums. He always posts pictures of like, he's got demos and shit just hanging out, B-sides, rehearsal shit. And it's like a treasure trove of stuff that's like, can you guys just... And apparently Iommi's owned the rights to it for a long time, like those records. So like, I need Headless Cross, I need Tear, I need pretty much every fucking Tony Martin except the last record. It gets real weird.
Yeah.
Cross purposes. But I gravitate towards that stuff. I have listened to Born Again quite a bit because I know everybody loves that fucking record. That's the Gillan record. I don't like it as much as this stuff or the Tony Martin era, but I absolutely love Born Again. So that's why they didn't rank higher, just because like that classic era, it means a lot to me, but not as much as other people. So.
I think that it suffers from the fact that like you've heard it so much. Like you've heard those Ozzy songs and Ozzy records so much over the years, just they're everywhere. And it just kind of gets exhausting at a certain point. It's like, I mean, it's just like anything else you hear on the radio so much. You're just like, you don't need to hear it anymore. Like, I get it, like whatever. So you celebrate the things that you haven't really heard that often. And then you just gravitate even more towards those. And you, like I said, you have a higher appreciation for them because you think, I don't know, they're not that they're not as mainstream, but it's like they're a little lesser appreciated. So maybe you feel like you want to dive in more because of that.
But if I like absolutely love the Ozzy era, like other people do, Black Sabbath would rank number 1 because I literally love almost every era.
Yeah.
Like Black Sabbath would probably be my number 1 favorite band of all time. But because I appreciate that era, I will listen to those records, enjoy them. They just don't mean as much to me as this stuff and the latter stuff. And so that's why they're at number 8. But this record, when we do top 10 albums, this is going to be maybe 1 or 2. It's absolutely one of my favorite albums of all time. So there you go. Black Sabbath.
That's crazy. All right. So love it. Love Black Sabbath. So you have that on there. My next is going to be number 7. I think this might be a little bit low for you, honestly.
Okay.
You might be a little shocked by this. But when I thought about everything else in my life, I was like, you know what? Unfortunately, a certain man that means a lot to me, unfortunately falls to the number 7 spot. That man is David Bowie.
Okay. All right.
So
you said, man, I thought we were getting a big swerve. And I was like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
All right.
Love it. So I love Bowie. I named both my cats after Bowie. So Bowie and Ziggy are my cats. And I don't know. Like, there's a lot of Bowie I'm out on just because I haven't looked into it and dove into it that much. I know a lot about a lot of the different eras that he had, but specifically like the very late 80s and like Never Let Me Down, and then up and through the 90s. I've listened to a lot of those records, and I know that a lot of the records are very, very like culty in their appreciation because he was like changing his sound altogether, and he was getting more into the electric kind of stuff and like industrial with he loved Trent a lot, and so he wanted to do a lot of Nine Inch Nails stuff, and they toured together and everything else. Like he was just really experimenting in the 90s, so I know a lot of those records are super, culty with their fandom or whatever. I just haven't dove in that much. So my favorite era of Bowie is from basically mid early 70s, mid 70s, just the classic through, I guess, Let's Dance. And I mean, those, yeah, I think Let's Dance maybe is that where I drop off a little bit. But my Berlin trilogy love, specifically Low is my favorite Bowie record of all time. This is a super cool record. It's very electric, very, very much sounding like the 80s. It came out in 77. So like it's basically what set the tone for a lot of stuff. Brian Eno produced it. So sounds awesome. The songs are killer. And Lodger, Heroes, and Low, that's the Berlin trilogy. That's when he went to Berlin, got sober, and started doing all kinds of weird stuff. And I think that's kind of usually the classic era. Like there's people who love obviously Spiders from Mars and all that stuff, and Aladdin Sane and what have you. Which Aladdin Sane just I think celebrated 45 or 50 years. I think it is.
Wow.
Like yesterday, or the day before yesterday. So crazy insane. But I know those records have a massive appreciation, obviously, too. Young Americans and everything else. But for my money, it's all gonna be the Berlin era. Love it so much, and Low is my favorite. And Bowie, I mean, is just always around. I honestly think the first time I ever saw Bowie, like if I really had to think about it, I think it was in Labyrinth, possibly the first time I ever saw who Bowie was. And then I just realized this like maybe a couple weeks ago, because I rewatched Labyrinth, and I remember it being on Disney, and my sister and I watching it, and I know who David Bowie was, but I think it's because my mother saw us, mother or father saw us watching Labyrinth, and was like, "Hey, it's Bowie," and then kind of went from there. And then Greatest Hits came into play at a certain point, and popped that into the iTunes, loaded it up, and kind of just went from there, and just kind of went back. And as time went on with more downloads and what have you, got more into it. And then definitely as an adult, turned on my love for Low. I got into the Berlin trilogy probably when I was like 20, 21 maybe. And then Low, I think, took over my fandom for Bowie at about like, I don't know, maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. Because I remember hearing Trent, because Trent's obviously a massive Bowie fan, one of his biggest heroes. And I remember Trent talking about how Low is his favorite Bowie record, and that's the one that he really goes back to, and that's the one that he still listens to and still pulls stuff from. Not that he does everything else, but that's the one mostly. And so I was like, oh, fucking Trent, that's a favorite record. I need to really listen to that. And so I started doing it, and yeah, it's so crazy, cool, and weird. And the songwriting on it, always crashing the same car. That's just fucking insane. Speed of Life, like just insane shit on this record, and just love it so much. And this is the Orange 45th anniversary edition. I have an original over there too, and for a long time this is hard to find, but luckily the last year or two we've found older copies of it in Zia. So now that I don't need it, so whatever. Because I think I bought that one off Discogs many a year ago. But yeah. So anyway, Bowie at 7,
nice.
And there's that. So love it.
Nice. Yeah, Bowie's something I just never tried. I mean, I like songs, but I've never taken the dive. So maybe someday.
It's so much. It is intimidating, daunting, because there's so many twists and turns and different stuff to listen to. So yeah, and plus there's so much stuff coming out now, and me and you talk about every Record Store Day that for a long time to me. I was going for the Bowie releases on Record Store Day, but there's now just too many. There's just too many EPs. There's too many like lost records. There's too many of everything that they're putting out that I just can't. First of all, I honestly can't afford it all because there's so much coming out. And second of all, it's just too much at a certain point. I can't have 2 cubes filled with Bowie stuff from, the late 80s, early 90s live records and everything else. All super cool. I just can't do it, man. It's just too much. So out on that.
Gotcha. Yeah, maybe that might be a good album homework assignment. Like, because I've never listened to that record. So that would be like a good, try this out. So just throwing it out there. All right, let me get to my 7. Let's keep it in Britain. Let's go with Judas Priest. This is Unleashed in the East, their seminal live record, sort of live. even though the vocals are touched up. But yeah, I absolutely love Priest. They rank a little higher than Sabbath to me because I do generally, outside of like 3 or 4 records, will celebrate the whole discography. Outside of the Ripper records, I know one is more loved than the other, and Nostradamus is absolutely dog shit, and the first record is not that great. Everything else out of their 15 records or whatever it is I absolutely love. If I had to choose a favorite record, I probably wouldn't choose this. I just chose this because it's one of their seminal live records and it's pretty good representation of the band. I don't know, man. There's so many. I love Screaming for Vengeance, which is kind of weird because a lot of people don't like that record just because it's really commercial. But I love British Steel. I love Stained Class. I love Sad Wings of Destiny. I love pretty much everything, man.
You love Painkiller too.
I love Painkiller. A lot of people love Painkiller. It's really fucking heavy. Yeah. I even like Point of Entry, which is weird. A lot of people don't like Point of Entry because that's the record between British Steel and Screaming for Vengeance. So between the two giant records is Point of Entry. I love Point of Entry because there's a lot of Arizona connections. There's a lot of songs that Rob wrote about Arizona on that record.
Because he moved here at that point, I imagine, right?
Yeah, that's when he moved here. So there's a lot of like desert. It's kind of like a good desert vibe records. That's what I identify with that record. But
isn't the cover just a picture of the road in the middle of the desert? Isn't that just here, I assume?
It's a piece of the original cover is just a piece of printer paper.
Oh wow, okay.
It's like at the Salt Flats or whatever, I think.
Okay.
So if you ever look at that record, it's a piece of printer paper. I have it back there.
Yeah. Keep going.
The reissue cover is really cool. I really like the reissue one that they did. It's like a plane or something entering the atmosphere. It's very cool. But yeah, I absolutely love Priest. So that's why they rank a little bit higher than Sabbath for me. Honestly, like we were talking about Megadeth and Slayer. Like I could maybe even remove Sabbath and Priest from Megadeth and Slayer. Like there's no slight against them at all. It's just like I love all those bands equally, and I always love gravitating to Priest because it's just fun music and it's a good time. There's a lot of serious heavy songs too, but usually it's just good.
Never
shit.
knew that.
Yeah, it's just printer paper.
Never realized that. Okay. Now that I know. There you go.
Yep. I got into Priest just because, like, when you're getting into metal, like, that's what you get into. So
that's most one shit.
Yeah, I'm not breaking the mold here, but most people, you like metal, you like Priest. Most people, like, you are an appreciator of Priest. So there we go. That was my 7.
Love it. Yeah, I don't. I think I guess I would put them higher on the list possibly. But I definitely put them on your top 10 for sure. My placement would have been a little off, but so I was with the if I had to.
I would say the rest of my stuff coming up is like a hard set 6.
Okay.
Those other 4 bands, like I could have probably removed for other stuff and not hated myself. Still tough, but these next 6 are like, one band is purely just legacy, and the other ones I absolutely love pretty much everything. So we're getting into the nitty gritty.
I want to say the exact same thing to you. I want to say that these 6 are like set in stone. Like,
gotcha.
It is what it is. So
okay,
here we are. So next, number 6 on my countdown here. Ranking is a little band from Long Island, Strong Island, New York. Brand New.
6.
Wow. Love Brand New. Yeah, it's rough. It's a rough deal. I love Brand New. I love every record Brand New ever made. Honestly, Science Fiction, I know that's actually people's favorite record. That might be like lower on the tier list, possibly, if I was to rank those records. But it's still super cool. There's a lot of cool stuff going on the record, a lot of cool sounds. And they just kept doing more and more experimentation, more and more weird stuff. And it was awesome. This is Devil and God Raging Inside Me. This is my favorite Brand New record. This is the 3rd one. It's a record after Deja, which is the record that really broke them to everybody, to the emo, kids, whatever, outside of New York, especially. First record had airplay too. Actually had MTV2 airplay and like a little like tiny special. Like I think they had an MTV2 a special cut and edit of the Jude Law video. So interesting. But so they were whatever. They were a band that they thought maybe was going to happen. And then once Deja came out, the next record, their second record, that was when I think Rolling Stone and Spin, a bunch of people put them on the band to watch for 2003, which is that record. And so they kind of blew up among that scene. And they were always a band that I think people appreciated the band a lot more because they never got stuck in just the emo stereotypical, like whatever. Like so for example, I like Taking Back Sunday. I do love Taking Back Sunday. I love damn near all the records, right? But they, I think, get stuck. I don't want to say, like, I don't want to make an app comparison because it's a little bit different, but they're hair metal. Because it's like, when you think about, like, oh, high school, you know, whatever it's not. You mentioned Taking Back Sunday. You mentioned, like, Cute Is What We Aim For. Like, you mentioned, like, the Academy Is. You mentioned, like, bands of the moment of the time. And a lot of people abandoned those bands as time went on. But Brand New was always a step ahead of those bands. Like, they never got abandoned until they did. But they never actually, like, dropped off. Like, every record, everyone was super into and, like, they were anticipating. And they never got lumped in with the other emo bands. And to the somewhat, from what I know, that's a little bit of a bitter thing those bands had because every band thinks they're that band, and they hate that Brand New attained that, like, next level kind of appreciation spot in the scene. So, you know, whatever. Anyway, I can talk about it forever because I love these records, like, so much. And Devil and God, perfect, you know, top to bottom. Deja second, Fair Weapon third, maybe. Daisy, whatever, all that stuff. I could rank it, but anyway. Love Brand New. I got into Brand New because on Fuse they had, or Much Music actually, they had a showcase for Deja where they had an in-studio for M-Mixer or iMixer, if you remember that show. It was a stock trading show of music and bands. It was all, I don't actually remember what, like, the true premise of it or how it worked.
Yeah.
But the bands would have stock pricing and they would go up and down the stock market on the show. And insane. Forget it. I actually forgot that memory until we're talking this moment. But they had a showcase on there and then an in-studio acoustic set. And I caught that. I don't think on, like, an original. I don't think I caught it, like, the first time. I've caught a replay of it though. And so it's 2003. And just being fucking blown away. And it's probably the first acoustic stuff I ever got into. And it's not even acoustic, just that set was. And I saw that, and then and then they had all the videos and stuff. They had videos for Quiet Things. They had videos for Sick Transit Gloria. And just, like I said, just dove in. And that was the first band that I think I went on LimeWire and downloaded absolutely every song I could ever find from them. And I've downloaded a lot of shit that wasn't real too, because anything that was tagged Brand New that I didn't know about was what I downloaded. And so, like, I had a bunch of demos and shit. I had a bunch of weird stuff that I just kept just downloading whatever came out from Brand New. And you know, whatever. But just, I love every era. I love every record. I love damn near every song. And many MySpace bulletins quoting Brand New lyrics. And I'm sure Facebook statuses as well at some point when I was younger. But yeah, so anyway, Brand New number 6. And it's hard to say that, but, and maybe that could possibly change at some point, but I've just been listening to everything else so much more recently, and they're in the top 6. Maybe they could bump a couple spots. I'm not sure, but they're definitely top 6, and I think it's kind of solid right now. But ask me in a year, maybe it might change. But
I thought they'd be top 3 for you for sure, honestly. And the reason being is because I know, like, that band by proxy introduced you to so many other bands.
Absolutely.
And
100%.
And a particular band that you have probably ranked higher, obviously. So like, there's that's why I figured they'd rank at least in the top 3, just even because of that factor alone. But I get
massive gateway band from their tours and from just friends and like name checks and stuff like that. Massive gateway band for sure. Absolutely.
Gotcha. All right, let's go to my 6. This is probably going to be a surprising one to Tyler. It's probably my favorite record if I had a gun held to my head. The reason they're not higher is just because I don't know if it's a recency bias thing. I don't know, but I don't really know. It's just like the other bands felt better to me higher.
Yeah.
And that's Journey.
Wow.
This is Frontiers. I guess this is my favorite Journey record if I had like a gun held to my head. I love all these songs. But got a Tower record sticker on there too. This was once
Nice.
$6.99.
Oh, all right,
So
all right.
And this,
Love
I
it.
think this has a date code. It says 483 on it.
All right, hold on.
So
So
there you
let
go.
me
Maybe.
pull that Van Halen because I don't think. So I have 83 at the very top here. I have an
That's
83,
what I
then I
have.
have. So, but at 83 and a dollar sign.
Mine might be a dollar sign, but it looks like 4.
Yeah, like
Yeah. Is yours 883?
Not gonna come across.
That might be an 8, bro. Might be August. Oh, there's like a weird thing behind it. I get you.
Yeah,
I don't have that weird thing behind it. I have like a 4/83. So I don't know.
Is there a barcode on that?
Yeah, wouldn't all these? Because this is 83, right? 82.
Yeah, I think barcode was mid.
No, there is no barcode.
Okay, so yeah, so that's a very.
Oh no, there
so
is. Never mind. Right there.
Oh,
Never
shit,
mind.
Okay, all right. I don't know when barcodes got introduced. I want to say mid, like 85, 86.
Well, this isn't this 8? I'm fucking dumb. Yeah, it's 83.
Okay,
I'm starting to think that's a date code.
might be. It might be a date code. You're right.
Yeah, because this record did come out in 83. I was right. But anyways, yeah, I don't know. Like I do love certain eras more. Obviously, the Steve era, pretty much in certain albums ranked higher for me. I don't really care about the pre-Steve stuff. I've tried it. It's just not for me. I don't care about it. I do enjoy a lot of the Arnell stuff. A lot of it I just don't go back to. The couple of Steve Algieri albums I enjoy, but again, I just haven't gone back to a lot. One of them is not even on Spotify, which kind of sucks because I did Generations, which I did really enjoy. I did enjoy. I used to have it on CD, and I enjoyed that record quite a bit. So I looked it up on Spotify to see if it was on. It's not even on there, so that sucks.
Interesting.
So that's probably why. There's a lot of the band era that I just don't go back to. So I think that's probably why they didn't crack the top 5. And it's recency bias too, because I listen to a lot of Journey still, but I listen to them like a few times a year.
Yeah.
You know, the bands ahead of them I listen to monthly.
Yeah.
So I've just worn out Journey so much of my life. Like I got into Journey through my parents, Journey Greatest Hits. I absolutely wore the hell out of my mom's CD. The first CD I ever bought was Journey Greatest Hits Live. Yep. That was at Arrowhead Mall. That was the very first CD that I ever bought. When we went to Arrowhead Mall, my mom dropped me and Josh off. So I was like 10, 11 years old. What store? I don't remember. There were CDs in the store.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
I have no idea, Tyler. You just asked me that, and I have no freaking idea.
We've never realized that.
I have no store recollection. I can't even tell you where it was in the mall. I know I bought it there because we were living in the rental house like right after we moved here. So it's probably like 2000.
True.
Yeah, it's probably like 2001, 2002.
Yeah.
It was either 2001 or early 02 because we moved out of that neighborhood like 2002. So we weren't in that house
6 months, right?
We were there maybe 6 months to a year. I can't remember how long the lease was for. So, so yeah,
August.
It was very, very early.
July 01. You came.
We're getting in the weeds here. Yes, yeah, July 01.
So that makes sense. So, February. So you're still there. So yeah. So February 02 or 01 or no 02.
Yeah, maybe between that time frame. So we're definitely still in that first house. So yeah, I was maybe 10, 11 years old, and so it's the first CD I ever bought with my own money, and absolutely adore that whole Greatest Hits Live. Adore the Greatest Hits, obviously. Adore most of the. I adore pretty much the entirety of the Steve era. And but yeah, that's why, just because of recency bias, like I don't go back to Journey a lot. I did listen to the Greatest Hits today, ironically, but that was mostly just for this. But yeah, I'll go back to them maybe once or twice a year. So Journey, Frontiers.
They're on Columbia, right?
Yes, yeah.
So CBS
They were.
introduced barcodes in 83.
Oh, that's yeah. There you go. I think that's a date code then.
Yeah, so that would make sense. Fair.
Yeah. What month did that come out?
Ooh.
Let me look it up.
I know nothing. I'm gonna say early 83.
I think that's April. I think it's April 83.
Nice.
February 1st, 1983. So that
Nice.
might be a date code then.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
just
that's
shy
probably a
of
first present.
20 years later, a 10-year-old Ty Brown goes into Arrowhead Mall in Glendale,
Basically.
Arizona, and discovers Greatest Hits Live.
Yeah. There you go.
Storybook ending.
There you go. Yeah, that album's almost 40 years old.
It's crazy.
Next month.
No, like it's life changing. You buying a Greatest Hits Live is life changing.
Yeah, it really is.
Like it's like there's because I think a lot of things for you changed maybe a little bit, like your musical taste possibly for half a second, and then that trajectory puts you where you are today, and have a lot of appreciation for a lot of bands from those eras. Granted, your parents are obviously were a major factor into a lot of that, but you found other stuff yourself, and a lot of that is based on journey and based on your appreciation there. So,
yep, 100%.
Fucking journey, love it.
All right, now we're getting in top 5 territory.
Fives. All right, fuck. All right, here we go. All right, so for me, for my money, I think you could actually, if you really wanted to, maybe Sai, I think you could actually do my top 5 once I give you this band. I think you could do my top 5.
All right.
I don't want you to because it's just spoiler. But yeah. All right. So number 5, and it could be maybe higher possibly, but I think 5 is where it is. Just looking at everybody else, little band called 9 Inch Nails. Were they in your 5?
Higher?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Maybe a couple higher. I know you're top 2, so like I don't know.
Yeah, 100%. So 9 Inch Nails, I love 9 Inch Nails. I love every era, every record. Trent Reznor is one of my favorite people on the earth, on the planet, and what he does for music, the way he views and makes music and appreciates music, just next level. Smartest guy in the industry, probably, and just so much appreciation. This probably is my favorite 9 Inch Nails record, and I know that's pretty controversial because they have Fragile and they have Downward Spiral, and they also have Free Hate Machine. They have nothing, or they have nothing. They have Broke Into, the EP, which people will also say is their favorite release ever. Like, there's a lot of stuff you could pick as your favorite, but for me, for my money, this is where I came in. So this is my first record. Like, I bought the as we talked before, I bought the live record and All It Could Have Been. I bought that maybe a year or two, possibly, before this record came out. This record came out 05, right? 04, 05. And so 19 doesn't mean no good. So I think it's 05, 04.
I think it's 04. But
yeah. So I'm 13. I bought this also at that Tower Records with my father, 05. So my dad bought me this record in Tower Records, and so that's how I got into it. And I remember the hype for this record. I remember like the leaked video for A Hand That Feeds, which was not leaked at all. It was just the band put it out there, like leaked, but it wasn't real. And so then their video, the performance video for that was the real video, and then Only was a huge single. Every Day is Exactly the Same, massive fucking song. Like, this record was crazy big, and it was the first record that Trent made sober, so that was also a major thing, because people thought maybe Trent can't do what he did as a intoxicated person, an addicted person, but he made this record sober completely. And just the whole vibe, I love all the artwork. I love the glitch art, I guess is what it's called. I love all that, and just top to bottom, for my money, my favorite release. But yeah, so just seeing them, I think getting into them, I think I always knew Closer, because that was just a song that existed everywhere and you heard it, and I didn't really know much more than everybody else did maybe at the time, like as a young kid. But I think that I saw enough countdown shows on VH1 mention them, and I was like, okay, cool, I need to get into this. And it kind of seemed dark and like different and like trippy, and as like trying to be an edgy fucking 10-year-old, you're like, I'm gonna get into that, whatever. And then I remember finding all the insane stuff and all the crazy like sounds and whatever on the Broken EP, and then finding Heresy, which is a massive like atheist song or whatever, and as an edgy 12-year-old, you're like, I'm gonna put this song on my MySpace or whatever, and that's what it is. Like the chorus is God is dead, no one cares, if there's a hell, I'll see you there. And so like that's obviously for like an edgelord 12-year-old. You're like, oh yeah, this is like I'm putting this on here for sure, making my points and shit, right? So yeah. So anyway, so Nine Inch Nails, 5. I guess I don't want to. I guess I already said Set in Stone, but they're all in there. So
holding you to
love it. Yeah.
Dude, I remember Hand That Feeds. I remember driving at AMC with Dan and Josh, and in the shadow. And I remember KUPD. The first time I heard that song, I was like, the new 9 Inch Nails single.
Fuck yeah,
that song's sick. I love that song.
Love
They've
it.
always been a constant in my life. You're obviously a way bigger fan than I am, but I grew up hearing all those early records. So
yeah. Your brothers had them, and that they kind of put you out there, and then they got everywhere. Yeah. Like they definitely had a lot of airplay too on radio.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, they still do. They still do. I mean, Head Like a Hole. You still Closer. You still hear all that stuff all the time. Yeah. So it worked out.
Yeah. Good choice. Again, I thought they'd be a little higher, but I know you're top 2, so I don't know like what you'd move down. But anyways, here we go. My number 5. I'm gonna go with probably my favorite record by them too. Might be the record right before this. I don't know, but I'm gonna go with Queensryche.
There you go. Yep.
This is the recent re-release of Empire. Like I said, probably my favorite record. Operation Mindcrime's right there too. Queensryche's a weird band for me that I ranked this high, and the reason being is because there's a whole era that I actually don't care about. Like the last record I really not really enjoy, but kind of enjoy is Here in the Now Frontier, and that's 94.
Oh, wow.
So like that's the last record I really care about. Like there's a lot of records in there, not a lot because the output kind of died, but like the early 2000s and stuff, I absolutely do not care about, like Jeff's concept records and shit. I don't care. Operation Mindcrime 2 is kind of dog shit. It's fine, but it's not great. And then like even the first couple Todd records, I'm not really in love with. I like the newest Todd record. I absolutely adore. It's my best record of 2022. But like the first like 5 Queensryche records, I absolutely adore, and I constantly go back to. I love listening to all the singles. I love watching all the live videos from that era. And Empire, I grew up on this record, so that's why it's probably my favorite record of all time. This is where I got introduced to the band. My parents had this CD, my dad specifically. So getting introduced to Queensryche through them. And this is the record that did it. So this is the obviously the LP. This is the re-release that just came out last year. And then I have the CD box set that comes with the DVD and stuff. And you got documentary and live footage and shit on here. Comes with a nice book. And then I've got an OG pressing of the CD as well. So
hell yeah.
Yep. Queensryche. I was kind of surprised when I sat down and ranked it, but like maybe recency bias because the new record is the fucking banger.
Put you over.
But honestly, when I when I look at it, those first like 5 records, absolutely adore and listen to them probably monthly, honestly. So
yeah. What episode is it on? We go into Queensryche. I forget. Is it top debuts? Best debut? No, it's not best debuts. It's
no, I think it's childhood records.
There you go. Yep, there you go. So
I think I put Empire on there.
Yes, if anyone's curious with Ty's origins with Queensryche, he has a good Queensryche, a little jag there on the those origin records. There you go.
Yep,
love it.
There you go.
I expected it. I don't know where I would numbered it, but I definitely put it on the top tier of your list. So there we go. Love it.
Gotcha. There you go.
All right, so now we're getting into
big dogs.
Right. Yeah, the very big dogs. All right, so this is number 4. So, this sucks. It sucks. Okay. It sucks to put a band somewhere not on your number 1 that you put on your number 1 for most of your fucking life.
Ooh.
Still at this right now, it's still most of my life at this point. And as I grew older and as certain things have happened over the years, they have lost their top spot because I have been out on most of the last 3 records. So here we are. It is what it is. The band is Blink 182. They were my first real favorite band. I had Americana before I had Enema, so I think Offspring might have been my first like cool favorite band, I guess you could say. But Blink definitely number one the list for, again, most of my life. And so I was 8, right? 8 years old, 9 years old. 8, 7. I heard Damn It when I was 7, but established them at Enema, so it's 8. So since I was 8 to goddamn 22, maybe, they were my favorite band of all time. And then things started to fall off, and the wheels started to fall off, and it just got a little messy, and I hate it. And I hate that I don't care about them anymore. I hate it. I hate the fact that I have not listened to the number 1 alternative rock radio hit for the last 9 weeks, Ty. I have not listened to that song still to this day.
Is that the new single? Is that they haven't released another one, right?
They have not. So Edging has been the top song for, it might be 10 weeks at this point.
Wow.
For the last 10 weeks on alternative rock radio.
I'm surprised by that. I mean, it's it's a cool song. I just wouldn't be surprised it's that high. I'm kind of surprised it's lasted that long.
Yeah, total mind blow. So, but this record, Untitled, this is definitely my peak for the band. This is, I think, in my opinion, the peak of the band. It is the most creative. It is the best songwriting. It's the best musicianship. Everything came together. The music videos, the artwork, the aesthetics of the band all came together. I wanted to be Tom DeLonge, as did most, 12, 13, 14-year-old pop punk fans wanted to be Tom DeLonge and whatever, and older than that. But, so I hate that I'm just out on them. This is my favorite record. And they can do no wrong in this era. The live show sounded the best they ever did. And Tom's voice sounded the best it ever did. And then it kind of always went downhill because Tom sounds like shit now. They don't write the same songs. Every time they come out with a new record, every fucking time, they always name check Untitled. Every time they go,
Yeah.
This is gonna be it's basically the successor to Untitled. It's like, so like, I think if you like Untitled, you like this record. None of the 3 touch on this. So fuck you. Not true.
Well, I'll just tell you right now, the new single I would never picture on that record. So I don't know what that tells you for the rest of the record, but
yeah. No.
Are you even excited for it? Because I am.
Yes, I guess. I hate, again, whatever. He says it for everything he ever does. Every time Tom DeLonge makes a fucking record, it's the greatest thing they ever did. It's the best thing we ever did.
That's like
the best thing I ever wrote. I know, but it's fucking, I'm over it. I hate it. I hate that I'm over it. I hate this. I'm so bitter that I'm talking about this right now because I really wish they were higher, but they're not. They can't be. But yeah. I love Blink. I love every record until this point. I just absolutely adore it. It's my childhood. It's my life for most of it. Like, I identified, my entire vibe was from this band. My clothes, my piercings, like everything I did. My first tattoo was going to be the smiley. That was my first tattoo, and I never even got it. Like, I was going to do like basically the cover, and I was so committed to it, and then everything started falling apart. And I just hated. I hated that they missed our entire high school career. I hate that.
Yeah.
Just awful. And I love the band. And whatever. But
still in the top 5.
They are. So number 4, Blink 182.
They've fallen out entirely of the top 5.
No, so. They could never fall out entirely. I don't think. I think that's they're established there. They're concrete.
They'd always be in the top 5.
They'd always be. Yeah, they'd always be in the top 5. I have way too much invested of time and money into that band to not put them where they are. At this point, that's it's sunk costs.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right.
So
my number 4. I'm gonna go with the band I've grown up with my entire life, and that's Alice in Chains. I pulled Facelift. I could have pulled Dirt too. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Faceless I don't even. It's hard to say what my favorite Alice in Chains record is. Maybe even the self-titled. That record's so depressing. I love every era. I love the Unplugged. One of my favorite live shows of all time. I love the reunion era. I think William's great. I think all the records are awesome. There's not a bad record in the catalog. And yeah, that's why they're in the top 5. And they're a band that I've constantly grown up with. Safe to say they're probably Josh, who's been on the podcast before. I would guess if he had to did the top 10, which would be fun to do a top 10 with him, like favorite bands, to like guess his or some shit.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I would say this is probably his number 1 band. So yeah, that's why I constantly grow up with them, and I've seen them live 6 or 7 times now, and been great every time. And yeah, Alice in Chains. There you go. Seminole Seattle grunge band. So there you go.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get back to them, Alice in a second. I think it'd be fun if you and I constructed a top 5 maybe of Josh Brown's favorite bands. Me and you go back and forth and debate possibly where they're going to fall in the 5, and then he tells us what bands we got right and what we got wrong, and then we rank them after that point.
Shit, that's a good idea. I'll throw it by him. He'll definitely want to do that.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think we'd get maybe most of them. I mean, you're his goddamn brother, so you definitely know. But like, I think I could call most of it probably. And it'd be interesting of how much we actually get right the first pass, and then the things we don't get on the top 5 at some point. Like he's like, no, take them. I don't have them. Put them on, and then whatever. So go from there. But
yeah, I was kind of we were doing this. I was kind of like, damn, it would have been fun to have Josh on. But maybe we'll do them for like maybe top 10 albums or something, or songs. But
I like Josh's perspective on shit too, because he's much older than us. He's 8 years older than us. So like, he has an entirely different generation, an entirely different appreciation and relationship, even with these same bands. But he has an entirely different relationship and take on it, because he was at a different point in his life when he found him. Like, because he was I mean, maybe he was the same age we were when we found him, but he found them in the eras in which they were happening in, because a lot of these bands came way after us. So or not after, like, I mean, like, you're just turned on.
You were just talking about Blink, like Enemas. That's his junior year, sophomore year. So like, that's prime.
Yeah. 100%.
So that would definitely be fun. And that's why they rank so high to me. That I've just always have listened to Alice in Chains, specifically because of him. So, and like, I've always just loved that band. So, and I love every era. And as I've grown older and into my own taste, like, I never grew out of it. I was like, I've always loved Alice in Chains. To me, like, they're a good band that can appeal to metalheads and alternative fans, and they kind of cross boundaries there. So
we talked before. I am definitely a new Alice in Chains convertee, I guess, or whatever, converted. I've always were around the same way, but like, obviously just on radio and stuff like that, and in video games, GTA especially. And so like, just hearing those songs around, and then like getting older, and then having a different appreciation for the lyrics and for what the songs are actually about, kind of turned me on a whole different thing, and like the story and the vibe of the records. So like, it's a totally new appreciation. You have it as you have more perspective on life and more context on life. And then obviously you're hearing about what Lane and what Jerry were going through, the whole band was going through at the time, when the songs and the records were written. Like, just mind blow for a lot of the shit, for sure.
100%. 100%.
So, Alice in Chains, love it.
Now we're in top 3 territory.
Yeah. So, okay.
I actually don't know who this is.
Okay, do you think you know who's in my top 3? You know 2. Do you not know who this? So you know the top 2. You don't know the band I'm about to say.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I will immediately when you say it, but I don't. I can't. Right now, I don't know who. There is one, like, a Legacy act that I'm surprised that isn't on your list, but I know it's not them, because the Legacy act's done.
The Legacy act you're thinking about is the one that I forgot on my honorables, and I pulled the record.
Oh, okay.
And I have it here.
Gotcha.
And so there you go. So okay, we'll do it afterwards. So okay, number 3, and I think this is real. They're my 3rd, and so maybe Nine Inch Nails and Blink could possibly pass around, maybe brand new too, could possibly change around here and there. at this point, I have so many years in this band, so many records that I'm here and I love everything. And I go back to the records every fucking couple weeks or so, honestly, especially this one. This is going to be Jimmy World.
Okay,
Futures.
I could have guessed. I don't know why I didn't guess that. For whatever reason, it's just the blanking out of my head. Okay,
that's fine.
Makes
that's
sense.
Fair. Yeah. So I love Jimmy World. I've talked about him a number of times in this podcast. And every record, and they've tried to not reinvent. They've tried to do new stuff the last 3 or 4 records, and it still comes across really well. The classic records, Clarity, Bleed American, Futures, Chase This Light, like that 4 or 5 record run they had there from late 90s, early 2000s. That's just untouchable. It's so fucking perfect. And a record like Chase This Light, it's a record from 2007, I think it is. It's lesser appreciated, but that might sneak in there my second favorite record they ever did. And then like the record after that too, like they didn't quit. They never fucking stopped. They kept just putting out bangers. Just shit just slaps, Ty. It slaps. And the new record they put out, the new songs they put out, because now they're doing like Corgan said he was going to do it, but then he kind of stopped. Corgan said he was going to put out singles, and then he wasn't going to do records anymore. And then he hasn't done that at all. So like he's put out records now. But they said they're going to start putting out singles and not put out records for right now. And they might come back to it and maybe release those singles on a full record at some point. Mm-hmm. But they start putting singles out there, and the singles they put out the last year are super cool. Really, really cool. Really, really good. Jim's writing is still amazing. He still fucking is heartbreaking. He still knows how to fucking convey every emotion you have. And yeah, just I've grown up with them. At this point, I found him when I was 12, right? Or 11, I guess. Bleed American's 01, so let's say 02 maybe. So like I was 10, 11 years old, and I've tried to see him every time they were here. I didn't see them the last time they were here, actually, which is a big bum fest, but that's a whole different story. And with monies and tickets and everything else in the world. And
well, we went to didn't we go to King Diamond?
We did. We went to King Diamond the day before they played here last.
Oh, it was the day before.
And,
okay,
day before, yeah. And or it was the day before, day after. I forget now, because you actually told me, because I tried to get tickets to that show. It was them, the Main, and Thursday. Okay. A bunch of bands that I fucking love, not the Main, but a bunch of bands I fucking love, and I didn't go because the tickets were crazy. Tickets were $135 fucking dollars for the pit. That's where I wanted to go to. So like, I'm not paying $80 to go sit in a seat. It's not what's happening to me. So whatever. But yeah, so Jimmy World, just like I said, every time they put out new shit, and it's always good. And I can't think of a time in my life since I found them that I was not listening to Jimmy World pretty regularly. Just always a constant in my life. Always just the best songs, best lyrics. And if anybody rivals brand new with my MySpace and early Facebook lyric postings, it would be Jimmy World. So there you go. So Jimmy World, Futures, and my favorite record they ever did, and found Jimmy World from the radio in the middle, and Sweetness when Bleed American came out in mid 2001. So got that, and then kind of went from there. And then Futures was my first record that I ever actually was able to see and experience the hype and the lead up to and everything else, and Pain and Shame and Kill and all the other songs on the record. Like, I've seen that record done twice full through, and I could see it every single night of my life and never get sick of it. It's fucking perfect. Wow. Love it to death. There you go. Jimmy World.
It's not surprising when you said it. I don't know why I couldn't come to me. And I feel like that's like where if I thought about it hard, that's like where I would have say they would have ranked for you. So
love it.
Cool. All right, my number 3. This one might be surprising to Tyler, but it's probably not because they haven't come up yet. So
okay.
That is Boys from Brooklyn. Typo Negative. Honestly, it's like a last 10 years thing for me. I kind of missed the boat on Typo when they were a band. Just because I was getting into later metal, and like they weren't something my brothers were into, so I wasn't exposed to them through that. I could have been, because they were definitely a big band when my brothers were heavy into music, obviously in their formative years. But it just never happened. So yeah, they're definitely like the last 10 years for me. And honestly, like I celebrate the whole discography. I pulled October Rust. Probably not my favorite record. My favorite record's probably Dead Again, honestly. But I've talked about Dead Again so much on the podcast recently, it feels like, with the re-release and stuff. I just wanted to pull October Rust because that album cover is gorgeous. And yeah, they're just a great fucking band, talented fucking dudes. Peter's one of the most interesting dudes, was one of the most interesting dudes on the planet. To me, it's just a fascinating story. And yeah, they're a band that I got my wife into too. One of the handful of bands that we can mutually cross over and both mutually love and have a lot of memories to this music. So absolutely love Typo Negative. And yeah, they're in my top 3, and maybe someday they might even rank even higher someday. I doubt it, because the top 2 is definitely like set in stone, but they may someday. Who knows? So Typo Negative, they're my number 3.
Okay, so I knew Typo would be on there for sure, and I definitely expected the top tier of the list. So there's a band that you're leaving off the list, because I know your top 2 bands. There's a band you're leaving off the list, and it's even for the honorables, and it's very, very surprising because it's a band that you have said in an era of your life was your favorite band. So
yeah,
I understand with your criteria. I understand it, because there's eras that you're not as in as you are with others. So I understand the reason why you're leaving them off, if that's the criteria you're really fighting for, especially with your top tier of the list. So I understand that. But
I don't know who you're talking about. We'll do it at the end. I don't know who you're talking about. You said eras, and there's a band that I debated on putting on they're on my list.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't just make the honorables. Like Megadeth, Slayer, they're on my list too, but they didn't make the honorables. So I also wanted to talk about some other bands tonight, other than bands we talked about before.
That's fair.
So there is a band that I could have put in my top 10, but I just decided not to because I get bitter about the band. I don't think that's the band they're talking about.
I don't think it is. Interesting. We'll get it. Okay.
Yeah. What's your number 2?
All right, number 2. All right. So, oh shit, Ty. I actually did not pull a record for them.
For your number 2.
Wow. I thought I had.
You didn't pull a record.
I can pull straight here. I can pull. So it's fine. All right. Okay. So I thought I already
I'm actually curious to see where you go with this.
Okay. So for this, my number 2 favorite band of all time is a band called Manchester Orchestra.
I thought Manchester was going to be number 1, honestly. Okay. I've heard you say that before. But I guess you're determining band and artists differently.
Correct. Correct, Amanda. That's absolutely what it is. Absolutely.
It's semantics here.
No, yeah, 100%. Like, I literally, in my mind, I weighed it because you know my number 1. So I waited. I was like, artists, like bands, like if I say this, I don't think I'm being honest. So like, whatever. So I put all the artists on there, or the 2.
Okay.
So anyway, so Manchester Orchestra, this is my favorite record they ever did. This is Mean Everything to Nothing. It's their sophomore release. Came out in 2009. I love every record that they put out. I love the early stuff. I have such a super, super crazy nostalgic attachment to these 2 records for sure. Because I was 18 when this came out, and so maybe 17, and then I was 16, 15 when the first record came out. So like, I just remember listening to these records over and over and over and over again in school, and they're actually the reason. It's not the only reason. It's not the only reason, but they played their show here for this tour. Came here the 2 nights after graduation. So I didn't go out for any graduation stuff because I was going to these shows. And I went home early on graduation day and didn't do anything that night because I had to wake up and go to Tucson, and then I had to come back here and sleep and then go to another show the next day, which is fun as shit, but miserable. And so whatever. So anyway, so love everything they do. I've managed to become friends with the band, which is super, super sick. I've seen them every time they come to Phoenix. I've seen them many times in California. And then for the last 3 years, at least, I've flown to Atlanta and seen the Stuffing. So 2 years, 3 total, last 2 years. So that's where they're from, Atlanta. So they have a hometown festival right before Thanksgiving every year. And I've gone the last 2 years, and I think I went in 16 too. So 3 of the last 5, I guess, or whatever. So anyway, love them to death, and the coolest dudes. They write the best songs, and there's not a day that goes by that I probably don't listen to something from them. Like, I watch a lot of live stuff. I watch a lot. That's because I work at home. So like, I just let my YouTube go, right? And so I'll come across a lot of live videos for them that I'll just put on and just watch and just fucking become mesmerized by. Just the best shit, the best dudes, best records, and yeah, whatever. I mean, I run 3 fan accounts for this band right now. So like, this is a little ridiculous. Like, yes. And I've spent way too much money. I have every variant. I have everything from this band. And to put them out of the top 2 would be fucking blasphemous. And they could have been number 1, but number 1 is what it is. So, whatever. So, Managed Orchestra, Mean Everything Nothing. Fucking awesome. Love it. Number 2.
Yeah, the only thing I'm surprised at is they weren't number 1, but I get what you're playing. You're playing the semantics game. So that's fine.
Well,
you want to break the rules?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's whatever. Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah, it is what it is. All right. So I don't know how you're going to do your top 2. I don't know who's going to go where, but I have a feeling that I was going to say the foreign band. By the way, the foreign band is going to be number 1.
They're both foreign.
Correct. I think the
to us anyway,
one,
I guess.
That's true. I think the one that our friendly neighbors to the north might be number 2, and the other one might be number 1. We'll see. What do you got going on?
It's a good guess. All right. So this is tough. This is pretty tough. But there's a band that Tyler knows the 2 bands, and there's a band that I listen to more. And I, like you said about Manchester, I just probably maybe a couple days go by where I don't listen to something, but it's a constant. So that's why they ranked as number 1, and that's why this band, Iron Maiden, ranked as number 2.
Wow. All right. There you go.
I mean, Maiden's my favorite metal band of all time. They're one of the coolest fucking bands on the planet, still to this day. I love all the dudes in the fucking band, even Steve, even though he pisses me off. Even Yannick. Even Yannick, who's kind of fucking useless because they don't really need 3 guitar players, but they just kept him in the band because they didn't want to kick him out, which I thought was cool. This is probably my all-time favorite record, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. Kind of a controversial choice, I guess. I mean, a lot of people will pick Power Slave or Number of the Beast or Peace of Mind, or even Killers and shit. Because this is where they get really proggy and they get the synth and the guitar synths and going on, and it's right up my fucking alley though. I absolutely love the concept too. There's a lot of Bruce and Adrian on this record too, so that's probably why I love it so much. They're my favorite songwriters in Maiden, and they're my number 2. I got into Maiden honestly because you get into metal and like you see Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, and then Iron Maiden. And sometimes not even in that order. And like, if you're in your formative years of listening to music and you're into any type of heavy music, like I don't understand how you couldn't like this.
Yeah,
like it's like everything grabs you: the artwork, the guys, the songs, the history. Yeah, learning about the songs. Like there's so much to dig into. So like they nailed everything about the marketing, and they still do. So and not in a shitty like cheesy way like Kiss. Like they do have a lot of shit out there, but like it's all like makes sense, Like Iron Maiden, like we were talking about the games the other day through text. You sent me that Def Leppard Candy Crush game, and I'm like, Iron Maiden made a fighting game, which makes sense. I've never played it, but you have different Eddies fight different Eddies. Like that makes sense, So props to them. I adore pretty much everything. Honestly, there's. The 2 Blaze records are definitely the lowest records, but I don't fucking hate them like some people do.
Yeah.
I will listen to them and be like, it's fine things to appreciate. So
I
do appreciate the whole catalog, even all the newest stuff. I I always give them multiple listens. They don't just like go in one ear and like out the other like some bands. So Iron Maiden, they're my number 2. Absolutely love them. Have seen them every time they've been here since 2008. I think was the first time I saw them on the Somewhere Back in Time tour. So yeah, there you go.
That's crazy. Yeah, so I got the top 2, but I guess I messed up but everything. Oh, your explanation makes sense. I get it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think Maiden, like, there's a reason why they are as big as they are. Like, there's a reason. Like, it's not like it's not like a mistake. It's not the McDonald's thing. It's not like, no, like they're there because they deserve to be there, and they're fucking there. Like, that's why everybody fucking likes Maiden. That's why fucking Maiden shirts are aplenty everywhere you fucking go, especially at shows, which I learned about when we went to Maiden, because probably 98% of the folks there were wearing Maiden shirts, and you see it everywhere. So again, there's a reason why it happened that way. They deserve it. They're that good. They're the legends. Fucking Iron Maiden. So there you go.
100%.
Love it. All right, so number one gun. So big shock. It's a massive shock. It's kind of boring at this point, but here we go. Mr. Bruce Springsteen. I love Bruce. Bruce, I think this. So it was fighting out number 1 and 2 with Manchester or with Bruce, whatever. But I have so much more history in my life with Bruce, many more years with Bruce. I have a lot more connection with him from being a kid and being a child, and my parents being massive Bruce fans as well. And just a lot of times with Bruce throughout the years. And it's the only, I don't know, it's like, I think everybody can be a Bruce fan. Like, I think there's a record for everybody. I think there's the different styles that he does. I think that no matter what you're into, you could find something to enjoy from Springsteen. And that's why his fan base is so eclectic. That's why he still adds on new and younger fans every fucking tour cycle, which is insane considering he's fucking 73 years old. So I don't know, man. It's always been a constant in my life. I listen to Bruce constantly all the time. Again, probably not too many days go by that I don't listen to something from Bruce, or watch a video or something, or have some kind of interaction with a Bruce thing. I have a fucking shrine in my fucking living room, basically, right? So like the guy quite a bit. There's not too many records that I'm out on. The Human Touch and Lucky Town records are not good, but they're okay, whatever, it's fine. But everything he's really done since then, and even the new records, like, everything just comes out so well, and the production's always so fucking killer. His lyrics are so fucking good. Just endless inspiration, endless respect for the guy. And I've seen him twice now. I saw him in 2011. I think I saw him and then I saw him in 2016, and just put on the best show ever. That's not an exaggeration. I've seen a million fucking concerts, and Bruce Springsteen put on the best fucking show I've ever seen in my life. It's just crazy what he's able to do at his age. But yeah, just absolutely unparalleled songwriter. For me, so many songs that I've gone to over the years. And I think that I think for a lot of people, and especially for me, you grow into certain records. And my initial favorite record was Born to Run, which is a lot of people's favorite record. And I'm not reinventing the wheel here, but I think as you get older, I think Born to Run is like a high school record maybe, and then you get a little older and Darkness comes into play, because Darkness has a lot more dark tones to it, because Bruce at 79, so Bruce is 30 years old. So it's him writing about being an adult and doing adult shit and having adult relationships and having fucking fallouts with your fucking, with your family and your friends and everything else, and questioning yourself, all the things you go through in life as you get older. And just fucking perfect. Love this record. The guitar work, everything's great. So there you go. Bruce Springsteen. I love Bruce. Will never not love Bruce. And he's a good dude on top of it. And he could make music until he's 90. I'm still going to fucking purchase it. And I'm still going to fucking listen to it. And my pre-order got canceled. So I need to track
the
down
new record.
Yeah, so my pre-order got canceled. So I need to track down the indie press, I guess, and then try to come back to the web store exclusive or whatever at some point. It's still in stock, but I don't know what's going on. So there we go. So whatever. Anyway,
gotcha.
I would just go with that.
Have you listened to it?
Yeah, no, I've listened to it.
Because it's all the covers, right?
It's all covers, so it's fine. I don't really care for a lot of Bruce's soul stuff, the covers that he does. He does a lot live, or at least he like does a medley of them live, and it's fine. It's not really where I'm at, really. Like I'll buy it just to have it in the collection. I'm not going to go back to it too often. But the records, the Letters to You, High Hopes is super killer. It's also another B-sides kind of record. That's a record before the Letters to You. That's fucking killer. There's so much cool guitar work. Also, Tom Morello's on the record. So his original output to me is still super stimulating. Covers record not too interesting to me, but it's cool for what it is. It's not really my bag necessarily for Bruce.
Gotcha.
Number one.
Let's go to my number one. Tyler's not gonna be surprised. I haven't talked to them that much on the channel, honestly, because they've only come up like a handful of times for me for specific topics. But we'll go to me, they're the greatest prog rock, prog metal, prog act of all time. The Canadian trio Rush. I pulled Signals because most of the time I'd probably say Signals is my favorite record. It's got one of my all-time favorite songs on it, Subdivisions. One of the best opening tracks of all time to me. For him, put my money on it. So I absolutely adore this record. Rush. I got into Rush basically through my dad. They were a constant kind of growing up, and like they were my first concert. So like that's obviously a big deal too. Like seeing Rush live for the first time on the Vapor Trails tour. That was the comeback tour as well. Like I just remember like that being talked about. And I remember driving there to Cricket Pavilion. I remember like the radio playing Rush songs, like talking about Rush is in town, like shit that you see in movies, like from back in the day. Like I don't think that shit happens anymore.
It's a happening.
Yeah.
Like that's just insane.
Yeah. I do remember when Elton John played here recently. He retired. The radio played KSLX is just playing Elton John songs, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Because Josh and I were leaving a Monomarth at the same time that Elton John was ending. So because they were literally like across the street from each other practically, like a couple blocks away. So
Preston, right?
No, we were at Dodge Theater for Monomarth.
Oh yeah, recently. Okay, even closer.
And then he was playing at Chase Field, so it's like a couple blocks away. So I remember getting out, and you could like definitely the Monomarth crowd, definitely the Elton John crowd. Absolutely no crossover. But anyways, so I remember that being a big deal. But I remember Rush being a big deal because I remember driving in and like they were playing Rush tunes on the radio. And fucking Rush is back. Rush is here, back in town for the first time, whatever, in 6 years or whatever it was. So absolutely just fell in love with the band basically since then. And then as I've gotten older, I've just grown more of an appreciation for them as musicians and songwriters, and also their friendship, which I really value, because there's not a lot of bands on this list that I could say like have that friendship. And there is some, but there is some that absolutely do not like each other at all. And I know that for a fact. So I absolutely appreciate that they were truly friends the whole time. And, you know, to me, there will never be another Rush, even if Geddy and Alex ever do anything. It's not Rush without Neil. And I think they're smart enough to not title it Rush. They're not Pantera. So they're not going to go out as Rush and tour the fucking States and shit.
No.
So I absolutely appreciate Rush for everything that they ever did. I love every era. I love this era the most. Basically 82 to like 87. That's my favorite era. And I know that's controversial, but I love the synth era. I think they were doing some of their most creative shit during that time. Which is crazy to say because obviously 2112, all that shit's very creative. But I love everything. It's like picking my favorite child, I guess. And Rush. They're my all-time favorite band, and like I said, I think they're pretty cemented, honestly, because there's like every couple days, like I just listen to Rush, and it's so much fun to listen to because there's so much going on. Like every time I listen to it, it's like I hear something new. So that's what I appreciate about them.
Yeah, I also think that it helps out because Rush, you can kind of satisfy most of your emotions, if not all of them, from listening to Rush. Like just different records, different eras, different songs. Like whatever you're listening to, you can find a Rush track to kind of relay that to. And I'm a millionth of the fan that you are, obviously, and I can clearly see that. So for you being as in depth as you are with them, like I can only imagine like there's songs and records you can go to for every emotion, and the fact that they're able to offer it to you, fucking awesome. Love it.
I think too, just like you, like I think Rush is just like Bruce was to you, like with your parents. I think Rush with my dad was like specifically one of the few bands. I mean, I got, Kansas and Van Halen and a lot of shit. But I think Rush was like the one that I realized, oh, this is pretty important.
Yeah.
So that's why they've always just stuck with me. So, yeah.
100%. And they never embarrassed you. They never are embarrassing band to like. Well, whatever, the geeky, stupid. But I'm talking about like the actual like the interpersonal shit with the band and like their relationship with their fans and like the public. They never had any fucking mishaps. They were just fucking dudes that were fucking friends since they were fucking little kids, and then also when they were fucking like 21 years old and Neil came in. So like they're friends for their entire lives, damn near. And they're just fucking cool dudes. They're just dudes that weren't doing anything weird. They were just cranking out fucking records and making cool fucking music, man.
100%.
Yeah, and then, I think that's also like, so there's not many, I don't know if there's any bands on my list that are all original members.
Well, Rush isn't, but.
Well, okay. Let's call fucking very, very close, okay? With John Ruddy? Rutsy, there you go, yeah. Yeah, like okay, he did the first record, but let's be honest, it's it's the 3. But yeah, like Jimmy World,
I mean,
we're all original, but the first record too, actually.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
that's rough. I don't know. I'm looking at my list and like, there's not a lot of them.
No,
Alice in Chains is very, very close.
Yeah,
they've got a different bass player, but Mike Inez has been in the band forever.
92, right? So like
93, something like that. And then obviously Lane. Typo's very close, but they had Sal was the original drummer.
Yeah.
And then Johnny came in afterwards. So they've only had 2 drummers.
I think
so. Typo's the closest in that list.
The friendship aspect of it, like I think it's something that maybe it's like intangible.
Yeah.
That you don't really
think about. Typos are my top 3, and they're all very tight, too.
Yeah,
they're all very close,
for sure. Like so, with mine, Brand New is all original. All 4 guys in the band forever. AFI, Jade came in on the 3rd record, so Jane and then John, Jeff fucking left. But damn near most, everybody's been in the band for 25 fucking years out of 30 or something, or like damn near 30 years. So like, yeah, I think that's something that maybe I wasn't really perceptive of necessarily, but now thinking about it, like that's definitely an appeal. Like Nine Inch Nails is a little bit different, but they've had most of the same guys in the band now for almost 15 years. So, and some of the guys like Robin's been in the band for 25 years. So like, it's a cool thing. It's cool when the bands that you like are also actual fucking friends, and it's not just a business arrangement at a certain point.
Yeah, exactly. So what was surprising to you on my list? And I have a couple surprises too for you.
Okay, so I am surprised. I'm surprised Behemoth wasn't honorable.
Okay,
that was my first surprise. The big one that I was talking about before is Chili Peppers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know if I ever said they're my number 1.
There has been at least a time in your life that you've told me the Red Hot Chili Peppers from Los Angeles, California.
Maybe a long time ago, but not probably not in like the last 6-7 years, 8 years.
No, yeah, it was before that. Before then, for sure.
Gotcha.
But that's the one I was talking about before that I'm surprised did not make the honorable, if not make the list. That was the big one that I was actually surprised about.
I don't think I forgot about him. I think I thought about it, but I probably just forgot about him because I didn't even put him on the list.
Yeah.
So I probably would have put him in the honorables. But
what's the bitter band that you were talking about?
But honestly, I don't know, because I have a weird thing with Chili Peppers. I love records like intensely, but there's a lot of stuff that I like and appreciate, but I'm not like I constantly got to listen to it.
Yeah.
Because I've heard that shit so much. Especially from Josh, because those are they're definitely. I think Alice in Chains would be number 1 for him. Chili Peppers might be number 2.
Yeah.
So like, So yeah, I could definitely see that. But the bitter band is Hurt. Like I was gonna put Hurt on here.
Okay,
But I'm
fair,
just like,
fair,
I'm
fair.
so fucking bitter. And I talked about Hurt a lot on the podcast. So I'm like, I'm going to put somebody else on the honorables that, like Immortal or Enslaved, that I do love, but maybe wouldn't make it otherwise.
Makes it easier when they're still together and putting fucking music out.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Like you haven't done a record in 10 years. So I don't know. So yeah.
What's the
there's
one?
A lot of there. I mean, there is other bands like Typo hasn't done a record the same amount of time. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
they don't have the means.
Yeah, they don't have. What's the band that you were surprised with didn't make my honorables on my list?
Zeppelin.
Yeah. So yeah, I just forgot altogether. So I did 4, and I don't know why I missed that. Whatever. Yeah.
I'm actually shocked that Van Halen made the list, but the Doors didn't. I'm shocked.
So
I'm also shocked that you ranked, because you said you listen to Van Halen a lot, which you do, and that's why you put them on there. But I know another legacy band that you listen to a lot, and that's Def Leppard, and they weren't even on your list at all.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, because I think I'm out of so much. I'm out on so much Def Leppard that it would be hard to put them as an honorable, because I celebrate those 3 records so heavy. Like, it's fucking awesome, and I love it. And specifically, number 1 is fucking Hysteria for me. I listen to that record constantly all the time. And they also, I think, led my Spotify top 5 or some shit multiple years in a row. But yeah, I don't know. I'm out on so much Lep that I think it'd be slightly disingenuous of me to actually put them on the list. So, it is what it is. But if I would have opened it up a little bit more or whatever, we could have definitely done a Def Lep for sure. I looked through my my plays, and like the Beatles were like on an honorable at a certain point because I love the Beatles, but like I listen to the Beatles maybe a couple times a year, and it's really not that much in depthly. Like, I love the Beatles, but I think I'm fucked out on 99% of it, and I don't know. I'm not in the mindset, I think, to go weird. So I'm not trying to dive into like the fucking B-sides and whatever the fuck. Like, I'm not trying to go in deeper than anything I already know. Like, I know all the songs and I know most of the records. I'm not trying to go any crazy deeper. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, just looking around, I was looking at like what else.
Everything else made sense to me.
Yeah,
I guess. Like, I guess if I really thought about it, maybe Adele could make your list.
Ooh,
or even Gaga.
Ooh, maybe. But I think Adele makes a pretty strong case. I like all the records a lot. I love 3 records, and the 4th record I'm like okay with. Like the newest record I'm okay with. It's just not really, whatever. But I guess if I open it up, I could put Adele on there. Gaga, there's Gaga stuff I'm out on. Like there's a lot of it. There's some Gaga stuff I'm out on. It's hard. It's hard.
You want to weigh it different ways. Like, honestly, like Journey is a nostalgia pick for me. Yeah. Because I listen to Journey like once or twice a year when I'm in the mood. So like but I can't.
It so much in your life.
Yeah, I can't. It's like Blink to you. Like, I can't just take them out of the list. No. There's so much nostalgia. Behemoth. You mentioned Behemoth. They made the honorables. The reason I said I'm just done. Like, I don't like you guys. It's this like I get it. Like, this is your stick, but like just do something else. Like, write something else. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, and I get it. I put Immortal on because like they just do the same thing over and over again. Yeah. But like I guess I expect more from Behemoth. Like, just you do like you've done the same record like 3 records in a row, and they've all just been worse versions of the Satanist. So, like you peaked with that, like you know what I'm saying? And I love a lot of the early stuff too, but like it's like just do something else. Like, they're even like the same, and it's weird because Typo Negative, they have the themed album covers. Usually they have the green and shit, but like Behemoth's just done the same. It's almost the same album cover. It's not even like different art. It's like
that's Typo though. Fuck them. God damn it.
I know, but I appreciate it more in Typo because there's like a different like Typo has like the comedy aspect to it. Like there's reasonings behind that. Whereas I feel like Behemoth's just being lazy. Like I don't think like this is our theme now. Like we're gonna have the black and gold. Like it's like all black with gold trim and shit.
They're a kind of a parody of themselves at a certain point, right?
100%. That's a good thing. And like just out of it. It's like you guys talk about so much shit all the time. Like I had to unfollow Nergal. So like you just talk all the time. It's like I don't care. I don't even care what aisle of the politics or religion side you're on either. It's like this is all you fucking talk about.
Well, I mean, like all he writes about in music too, so I guess it makes sense, right?
I guess, but it's not even just that. It's not even just like religion. It's political shit. It's like, and it's just like I don't care anymore. Stop. I'm not saying you shouldn't have opinions. Obviously, I'm not going to say that.
Yeah.
It's just like sometimes it just gets a little tiring. Sometimes.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Especially when he's such like a vocal person in the scene, and especially in Europe and Poland, especially he's like a goddamn, everybody knows him. He's a celebrity. It's just like it comes off like celebrity vibes. It comes off like an American celebrity. That's like fair. Talking at you instead of like talking with you, like they're talking at you.
Yeah.
And it's weird because there's a person I've met him before and he never came off that way. So it's like just within like the last 5 years, 5, 6, 7 years. It's like, whatever. So that's it. But anyways, that was fun.
Wait, hold up. Also, I thought Ghost would make an appearance somewhere.
Yeah, I could have honestly, like I said, there's bands I could have moved around, but like it's hard. Yeah. And like I didn't, like Megadeth could have been in the honorables. Like we just I talked about Megadeth like in 3 episodes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I do love Megadeth, but like honestly, I love every Immortal record.
Yeah.
I literally like every record. I don't like every Megadeth record. There's records that I absolutely do not like at all.
Yeah.
So like that weighed in heavily.
I think I don't think you're wrong with like I think that's definitely a proper way to look at it. What you did, like what your criteria was. Like it'd be hard for me to do that with some of them because there's records and there's that I just don't like. But like I get what you're saying because that makes all the sense in the world why you didn't want to put certain things on there. I get it.
Yeah. Same with Slayer. Like there's absolutely I love a lot of the Slayer records, but there's some records I don't care about at all.
Yeah. Like Diabolus and fucking basically the mid-ish 90s.
The new record I've listened to once.
Oh, true. Also, Repentless.
Like God Hates Us All is not that great. Like Christ Illusion's okay, but I don't go back to it. Yeah, I mean it's a good song, but like the rest, the record's not that good. So like that's why like a lot of that weighed heavily. So you need to have the big nostalgia factor, like Journey, or you needed to have like a celebrate literally everything you've done, like Devin Townsend. Like everything he's ever done, I've enjoyed. So that's why. But anyways, guys, that was our top 10 favorite bands, artists, what have you. We certainly appreciate you making this far. We always end the episode with the next topic for hopefully the next week. So Tyler, what is going to be that topic?
I think we're going to do top 5 favorite tours or shows that we've attended.
Oh, okay. I want to do a time machine too, like top 5 tours or shows we wish we could have attended. So which one do you want? I'll let you pick, but if you want to do top 5 shows,
let's do top 5 shows. Let's do top 5 shows we've attended, and we can do a time machine another time. But that's also another great idea. We've talked about it before.
Okay, and like I said, we got the Killers ranking coming too eventually. Top 5 shows we've attended. Just putting that down. But anyways, guys, if you made it this far, please give us a like, subscribe. We love doing this, but we also love you enjoying it. Leave your top 10 favorite bands, artists down in the comment section below as well. We will see you next time on the Living Deadwax podcast. Peace.